Gaming news today is all about updates. First, Highguard launched, and it launched, and it's going. We'll talk about it. Anyway, there's other updates though, things that are going on in gaming news. We were going to sort of skip Highguard coverage for a day. We're like, well, let's just kind of see how it ends up. And it's pretty much where I expected it to be, albeit it is a little bit faster getting to where I thought it would be. So it's got that going for it. It did that quicker than I thought it could. We also have some other updates and things that we're hearing. We're hearing that there will be a PlayStation State of Play very soon. 2 different insiders will take a look at what people are saying. Second, similar to the Nintendo Direct sort of leaks around this time of year that we typically get, there will be one of those as well right around the corner. Arc Raiders pushed out a really big update. It's offering a very unique way to play the game, as well as an opportunity to get extra XP. Marathon dropped a new video. I was trying to remember what the other thing was. Yeah, Marathon dropped a new video of the Destroyer shell, and we are going to be keeping on tabs on Highguard throughout the day and week, as it looks like it is off to a pretty terrible start. There are a litany of reasons why. So let me just open up the show and just kind of talk about this. If you guys are watching this later, hit like, hit subscribe if you want to be here for the lively shows. I run a Safe for Work broadcast. A lot of people treat me like a podcast throughout the week. So I want to talk about the dialogue before this game came out, because there was something significant happening that I think is incredibly unhelpful within dialogue about gaming. And it's this idea that we cannot be critical or even remotely negative before the game is out. I think this is absolutely and fundamentally absurd. The entire purpose of trailers, of gameplay reveals, of basically every event that we watch as a community of gamers, it's meant to get you excited about a game and to play it and or buy it, okay? When it fails to do that, we're able to do the opposite of excitement, the opposite of hype, and basically say, I'm not excited. I'm not hyped. I'm disappointed, irritated with the direction. It doesn't look good. It doesn't look impressive. It looks bad. Okay, these things exist on a spectrum. So I don't think it was helpful at all that there were lots of personalities and outlets and pundits out there waxing extremely self-righteous about this, as if they were on some better plane of gamer and like everybody else was just being negative and they were just being haters and they were going to be proven wrong. I'm really curious what's going to happen to their swagger now that this game is essentially on its road to failure and being shut down. The starting numbers are so incredibly terrible. It couldn't even crack 100,000 on Steam, and it fell faster than any game I have ever seen. Like, Concord didn't get very high, so it didn't have really a chance to fall. It didn't really get started. I don't think I've ever seen a game fall this incredibly fast. People were very quick, just like they were with the pre-order Steam charts for Marathon. They were very quick to throw out their screenshots of like 97,000 concurrent players on Steam, and they were really puffing their chest out. Well, they quickly got the wind knocked out of them when those numbers and those player-based trends dropped. I mean it. I think faster than I have ever seen a game drop. It basically dropped about as fast as when a normal game goes into maintenance. Like, just an absolute downward slope. Now, I talked about a downward slope. I said even the biggest games have a downward slope. It's not that impressive if you get a lot of people to play your game in the first or second day. What's impressive is when they come back a month later. I don't even think people are going to come back a day later, not an hour later. People were putting this down. Now, there's a litany of reasons, right? There are performance issues, there was lag, there was disconnects, which really makes you wonder, were they rushing this to market because they knew this is a drought time of the year and it's the best opportunity they have to get the game off the ground, which adds to my assessment yesterday. I believe more and more of these games sort of came to fruition in 2020, 2021, maybe even 2022, the era of the pandemic. They saw live service numbers, they saw dollar signs, and they got angel investors or publishers, whoever, to basically back projects like this. We saw it with Firewalk and Concord. We're seeing it now with Highguard. it feels very corporate. It feels very calculated. These games don't feel as if they really have a soul. It's just sort of a wild grab of mechanics, ideas, themes, and an art style and gameplay that's so derivative it doesn't even feel original. I said yesterday, before it even came out, it felt like it was going to be too many things at once, while also not being really anything new at the same time. And then when we watch this gameplay reveal, that was probably one of the most spot-on predictions I have ever made. It's essentially nothing new, and yet it's posturing as if it's new, and it's chaining all these not-so-new things together in a mode and a gameplay that is too diverse and too random for its own good. You basically open up the game like looting and getting gear and getting materials. Then you play capture the flag, which it's a sword, but it's essentially capture the flag. You then have to do a raid on a base, which is basically search and destroy. And then you're battling out the entire time. It's also only 3v3 in incredibly open areas, which people really don't appreciate. Time to kill, and the back and forth just seems like an absolute meat grinder. Essentially everything I said about what I saw both before and during and then once the game came out, everybody is saying that. Everybody's talking about how it just doesn't really feel like a game that understands the modern state that we're in right now. Like, who is this game for is a question that people keep asking. I'll tell you who it's for. It was for investors. It was for people with money. That's who this game is for. It's a calculated choice to try to capitalize on a surge of gameplay and a surge of player activity in 2020 and 2021. And the consistent theme of these games is that they come out, they fail, and then we all develop, I guess, very, very quick short-term memory loss, and we think, well, the next thing will work, and the next time it will work. You know, we were hearing, oh, well, look at the statistics. Look at the number of people who play games like this, live service games, shooter games, etc. Yeah, that's one of the reasons games like this are always going to struggle. Beyond just having performance issues and gameplay flow issues, there's just a massive, massive stigma about these types of games. When you put heroes in your game, when you put this kind of derivative gameplay in your game, don't expect people to get excited. This is why I think it's perfectly legitimate for people to reject the marketing of games. That, I think, is the most interesting thing in this entire exchange, is the people who went to bat for this thing. The people who came back from the event and the people who wrote articles saying, like, this is the next wave or breed or the next best thing in shooters. I don't know what games they're playing. I don't know what predictions they're, typically making, but boy, was that a terrible one. Beyond that, we as gamers should be well aware of games that consistently market themselves in ways where the finished product, the final product, isn't really worth talking about or is far removed from the marketing. So I don't know why people were so quick to defend a game when all we had was marketing. We had nothing else. We had a trailer. It's interesting to me how quickly people will go to bat for something like this and demonize and vilify those of us who were not being nasty, we were not being toxic, we were simply calling it as we saw it. We saw a game that was not going to garner broad appeal or public approval or long-term engagement for a variety of reasons. I'd pay careful and close attention to those that went to bat for this thing right away, for those who played it and act like it was going to be amazing, for those that were out there just defending this thing tooth and nail. I'd pay very close attention to those people, because I think at this point, it's a huge credibility hit to a lot of people. And I do need to say a little bit about Jeff Keighley. I like Jeff. I really do. I think over the years, he has gotten far too much undue criticism and flack over things that were ridiculous. Every time he would do a showcase, there would be some current thing activism that everybody would be upset about, and because he didn't mention it, he somehow lacked a moral compass. One person actually wrote that, said he lacked a moral compass because he didn't want to talk about your current thing activism. So I think that for a while now, he's gotten a lot of undue criticism. I like his events. He seems like a genuine guy. He seems like he just really likes games. And it seems like, for whatever reason, he really liked this game. I don't know why. There are plenty of people who have played it and been like, hey, listen, I'm not getting paid. There are people in this community that are like, man, it's really fun. It's really fresh. Perhaps he's just one of those people. He got in here, he played a couple rounds, and he thought, you guys really have something here. And plus, maybe he just really likes the guys involved. Maybe he just really wanted them to give them a shot. Because some of the interesting information coming out now is not just that he gave them the slot in the Game Awards for free. We're also hearing it reported and claimed that they wanted to do a shadow drop, and he wanted to include it. He wanted to market it. He really believed in this title. Now, he was asked publicly if he had any financial ties to this game at all. Was he one of the investors? Was he going to sort of benefit in any monetary way if the game was successful? He has said no, because I think people were starting to theorize that. I thought that was a fair theory when people were floating it out there. It's like, I don't know, maybe he did back the game, and he's like, listen, if I backed your game, I want to market it. I want to see lots of people talking about this game. As far as we can tell, all he did was play a game and see a group of people that he liked, and he believed in their product, and he really pushed it. And I would say he swung and missed pretty big on this. And I hope that he can own that and just say, listen, y'all, I thought it was good. I thought this thing had a shot. I was clearly wrong about that. The customer is always right in matters of taste. And that's why I kept stressing to people, if the public is rejecting something like this, you can't get mad at the public. You can't get mad at the content creators. This thing was immediately getting terrible like ratios on its videos on YouTube. That's not something that content creators can influence that quickly. There are certainly games that have been brigaded against by grifters and haters and people who just want to watch games do terribly simply because maybe they put a bald woman in their game or something. We've certainly seen that trend. That's not what was happening with Highguard. Highguard felt to me like genuine response from people because there is a natural revulsion now within the market for these types of games. These calculated, very corporate, very derivative games that seemingly just want to strike while that live service iron is hot. But the reality is that iron has cooled for a lot of these new games, and they're not really going to be able to do it. That's kind of my take on it. That's what I think, just off the cuff. I did not write a script this morning. I just sort of did a little bit of a wing there. But those are my thoughts. I'd love to hear from you guys. Hit like, share, and subscribe if you're here right now. Let's break this one down. I mean, there's a lot of moving parts here. There's obviously, the bugs and the glitches. There's horrible optimization. That to me is just, again, a sign of they rushed this thing to market. Why did they rush it to the market? I don't know. Maybe, again, they thought the beginning of the year is so dry and so empty, we could really get in and get a ton of people to play, Because listen, if this game was red hot right now and people were loving it, it certainly would help that it launched right now. This week on The Game Business, I spoke to the CEO and studio head of Wildlight, the developer behind Highguard, about the hostile reception to his game, its launch strategy, and why it is self-publishing the online shooter. So they self-published. Is what we're hearing. We're hearing they self-published. Hero arena shooters are played out. That was what was really interesting to me, is they kept insisting that it was this big, huge, open, game. It had like open areas and open world, and it was just like, oh, maybe it looked like it was still going to play very much like an arena shooter. People are very much saying, it just feels like a meat grinder, which is what I kept saying that it looked like. I'll tell you what, you guys are already bringing up Marathon. This game looked so bad and did so poorly. I went and watched the latest Marathon trailer. That's how bad this game is. This game is so bad, it made me give Marathon like a second look. I was like, yeah, maybe Marathon will get like a core little audience that likes it. It'll be commercially successful. I continue to think that a lot of Marathon's choices with heroes and powers and abilities is going to make people walk away from it very quickly. Not as quickly as this. No, I think Marathon will be fine for about a week or so. I think the real test of Marathon is a month later. I've said that for a while now. I don't think the test of Marathon is within the first 48 hours. Just like with this game, people are going to run out there with their screenshots of the Steam charts when Marathon comes out. They're going to do the same thing. They're going to do the same thing. They're going to celebrate really, really early. And I'm going to say the same thing that I said yesterday. You got to wait. You got to wait. You got to see. You got to get through that first month. Highguard has that effect. You still haven't played it and it's not that open world. I got news for you. If you guys hit a big stretch goal this week, you can make Madam play it. I'm not playing this. I have no interest in playing this. It looks like hot garbage. It's literally worse than I thought it was. It's optimized terribly. It has performance issues. They're doing weird things with the resolution. Yeah, dude, I'm good. I am good. If you guys hit a crazy goal this week, I'll let you make Madam play it over the weekend. I'm not touching this thing. I have zero desire to set foot in this game. Well, you can't talk about it if you don't play it. Yeah, well, plenty of people are in that department, putting the dadgum game down after one game. There's a homie that quit halfway through a game with Ninja and Timmy. Why torture your wife? Don't make Madam play. Oh, come on. It'll be hilarious. Pour one out for John Highguard. The only way 3v3 is making sense from where I'm sitting is that they couldn't manage to get it to run in a reasonable way with more players. It's possible. Yeah, all the mechanics and all the things going on. Maybe when they started building the bases and like the rating on the bases, maybe that was kind of the point, was like, yeah, we can't have 6 people roaming around here. Joker Quinn, I missed your gifted. Hang on, let me get that going. Han shot first and so did you. First gifted of the day. Joker Quinn gets it there. You guys are on pace. When we hit 500, Madam and I do our stream where we have her react to gaming news. If you guys can get it to 750, she's got to play Highguard. What has Madam done to deserve such a fate? Funny is you quit mid-match or get kicked because of a crash, and you can get banned for 3 matches. Really? Yo, my man Jack over there using his prime on Twitch. Lona, you killed it with, I'll make my wife play it. That's how bad this game is. I played one game, 1 left, uninstalled, worst game ever. Thank you, Jack. Let me put that one on the board. Appreciate you so much. The core game is pretty good. It needed another full year in the oven. No PvE enemies to make looting and mining more risky. In the open space is a wild choice. Listen, homie, you could have put this thing in the oven for 3 more years. It wouldn't have mattered. I said it yesterday. It's a day late and $1 short. It's a day late and $1 short. Like, even the people that are playing it are like, listen, man, this could have been hot 5 or 10 years ago. This is nothing now. This is nothing. Oh, my back. I must have slept funny. A lot of people quit the first game. The movement's awful. Apex movement would help, but it still needs help. Yeah, I really like the guy who added the horse to Destiny. That was stinking hilarious. Have you guys seen this? Listen, the game has certainly given us some memes. He said, my chud PC can't ride Highguard, but in this house, we say no to the FOMO. He's got a horse? The funny thing is, when he runs forward, it kind of works. You're like, oh yeah, wait a minute. That's not Highguard. Worse than Concord. Well, this and Concord have both failed in remarkable ways. Concord failed to get anybody to even play it. All right. It was $40 though, so I think that probably played a pretty significant role because people are like I think more people played when Concord was the free beta or whatever than played the actual launch version of the game. This has failed in its own unique way in that they got everybody's attention. They went viral. They got almost 100,000 people to log in and play it on Steam, and then it almost immediately fell. It almost immediately fell. It looks better than Highguard. That starving puppy sad. The on-horse gun aiming is horrible. That is the game. Concord actually had stealth and timing. That's the thing is, Concord was at least optimized and didn't have a bunch of performance problems, but it didn't get anybody to play it. Its player numbers were way worse. Their player numbers were way worse. Concord let everybody play it for free, and then when it was time for everybody to buy it and play it on launch date, nobody did. That was a pretty big mistake that they made with Concord, was letting people play it early. Now, Marathon's going to take a crack at the same strategy. They're going to let people play it a week or two before it comes out. We'll see if that helps or hurts. Just like with this game, I said, listen, free to play is a double-edged blade because everybody logged in yesterday saying, well, it's free, I might as well check it out. And then they were like, I'm out, deuces. Some people didn't even make it through their first match. They were like, what the heck is this? It was the tutorial. It was terrible. You couldn't skip it. Can we get 10 more likes on the video, guys? Thanks so much for being here. Get us to 100 likes. Nice, strong start to the day. We've only been streaming for about 20 minutes. I hate that we have to destroy walls to get in. It gives away your position every time. I mean, the tutorial is like 4 minutes tops. Right, I think what he's saying, though, is a lot of people were like, yeah, I'm good. I mean, I did that with Lawbreakers. I was playing through the tutorial of Lawbreakers, and I canceled. I was going through a capture event. They were going to fly me out to L.A., do the wine and dine you thing, and let you talk about the game. And listen, I played that tutorial of Lawbreakers for like, I don't know, 10 minutes. And I was like, I'm out, and I canceled my trip. I said, yeah, I can't make it. So it wouldn't surprise me at all. I'm watching the stream from the beginning just to see Lono's smug I told you so smile. Listen, we weren't even, it's not my fault. We weren't even going to cover this today. I thought, oh, they're getting close to 100,000 players. We'll have to kind of monitor the player numbers. We'll circle back in a couple of days when it inevitably does worse. Like, I knew the numbers were going to drop. The initial feedback I was seeing from people, I was like, ain't no way this game's going to make it a couple of days. It didn't even make it to the end of the day, and people were out. They were quitting. They were like, yeah, I'm good. Did you see? Yeah, I saw that Dr. Disrespect did not go to the capture event. I thought that he did. I saw the screenshot and I thought, dadgum, these guys are desperate if they're inviting the doc, right? Like, all right. He used AI to fake the image. So he's just decided to turn full heel at this point, I guess. I check out a lot of demos, says Zubair, of $3 indies, and there are a shocking number where just getting through the tutorial is a slog. Those games get uninstalled fast. That number disappeared in less than 30 minutes. Well, at first when the player numbers started to drop, I thought, okay, they could just be having some server issues. You know, Highguard's a new game. The flying up to 100,000 players that fast could cause some issues with the servers, I'm sorry. So I thought, okay, I told people, I said, let's not jump to conclusions. Let's give this game, 48 hours, 72 hours. And, people were leaving bad reviews, and I thought it could be because of the connection issues. But then as time went on, it was pretty clear to me. It's like, this has nothing to do with the servers. This has nothing to do with connection issues. This is a disaster. Can you pull up the chart? Yeah, here, I'll show you guys. The Highguard Steam charts, I mean, there's nothing to say, boys. There is absolutely nothing to say here other than this is utter disaster. This is utter disaster. So this is their peak, 97,000. And within, I mean, just within the hour, they lose 10,000. The next hour, they lose over 20,000 players. I mean, you are bleeding at this point. You are absolutely bleeding. And then another, boom, 52, another 10,000. Boom, another 10,000. Boom, well, that's about 4,000. I mean, just, you're losing 10 and 20,000 people an hour. Like, yo, what's good, Stone Spire? Thank you for 9 months over there on Purple. Guys, when you have a Prime, if you're paying for Amazon Prime, make sure and use that every month on my Twitch channel. Those egg guys thought that you didn't have a background. Where are you at now? And there it is. Stone Spire is setting up the 20-bomb dunker. Listen, man, Stone Spire sets up these dunkers religiously. He's trying to get it to that 175. Somebody honor this man's effort. Somebody honor this man's effort. No, Perfect Eggs is back in chat. I appreciate the people that were yesterday going back and forth with me. If you come back around and show your face, I got respect for that. Because some of y'all were in here yesterday and you really thought, you were like, you really, really thought I was getting ahead of myself or I was being too judgmental. Yeah, he's in chat, and I got respect for that. I really do. Because listen, everybody does that. We all do it. We all think really confidently about something, and then maybe it doesn't work out. That's just life, right? That's life. I thought Kill the Justice League was going to be good. Nope, it wasn't. I was wrong. It's just better to be like, you know what? Got it wrong. And move on from it, And I think that this is another great lesson for people to learn. Yo, Joker Quinn comes in. He's the ruiner. 156. He ruins his setups, man. It's so rude. Someone needs to screenshot all the tweets calling people haters. I addressed that this morning, and I'll address it again now. That put a real bad taste in my mouth. Like, as nicely as I can say it, man, y'all can frick off with all that self-righteousness. You literally can. You think you're, like, better than people, or, like, you're somehow on some, like, higher plane of being, like, a gaming commentator because you didn't, like, jump on the hate train. We weren't hating. We were making observations that were fair. Yeah, there are plenty of people in the gaming community that want to see everything burn and they hate everything that comes out. But acting like the rest of us that were basically making very, very basic observations were somehow doing something wrong, man, you can frickin' miss me with that. You're no better than the forced negativity. When people force negativity and they just hate a game mindlessly, you're just on the other side of the mindless coin. You're just like, oh, it's going to be good. I mean, why are people being so mean? You're doing the same thing. You're like forcing positivity or optimism, and you're doing it in a toxic way where you like judge people for not agreeing with you or not giving the game a shot. Listen, there's a guy who hangs out here every day, and he said this on Twitter, and I was like, what the heck are you talking about? He's like, every game deserves a chance. What do you talk about deserves a chance? The frick is that? It's not kids trying out for a soccer team. It's a video game. You don't deserve a chance. You bring your game to the market. You bring your product to the market. If it's good and people like it, you're successful. If it's bad and people don't like it, you're done. It's that simple. There is no deserve a chance here. It's a market for products. Listen, I know it sucks when devs pour their heart into something and they pour their passion into something and it crashes and burns. Man, I feel for them. But like, what do you mean deserve a chance? Every game gets a chance. It shows up to the market and the people decide. That's right. You don't deserve it. You just get a shot. 9 says, you were right on the money with the depth of the game. I was re-listening to the show yesterday. I couldn't believe how on target I was when I said, you know, based on what people are saying, it sounds like there's just going to be too much going on. Like, that's just going to irritate people. Like, you've got so much going on. It's like, that doesn't sound like people are going to like that. And sure enough, that's one of the primary complaints people have. They're like, it's just like, what the heck is going on? There's all sorts of different stages to the game. I'm doing all sorts of different things. Like, the way I said it yesterday in the Discord is, there's too many things for people to catch on, like a rough edge. Like, let's say you're a PvP guy, but you don't like the open world and the looting and the resource gathering, okay? Let's say you get past that. Maybe you don't like the CTF battle for the sword. Maybe you don't like breaking into the base. Maybe you don't like search and destroy elements. It's like there's too many things for you to snag on. You're going to be like, I don't like this. It's like, you've got 4 game modes in one. You better pray everybody likes all 4 game modes or they're not going to enjoy your game. Well, no, fams. Highguard was DOA on release date. It didn't even break 100,000. I mean, that's all we're talking about it. I was going to give them their due. I was going to be like, all right, I'm going to give them 48 to 72 hours. We'll see how the player numbers look. Nah, man. Ain't no reason to wait. This thing's cooked all the way to the bones. Ain't no way this thing can last. They got this huge content plan for the year. I don't know who the frick you're going to make the content for. Ain't nobody playing this game in a month. There's barely anybody playing now. You know why Midgard doesn't deserve a chance? Because they released an unfinished game and thought they would get away with it. It's literally a beta. I mean, that's a whole nother discussion. Did you see how Ko responded to Jeff? When Ko, of all people, is saying that, he must just be uninformed. Listen, on the subject of Jeff Keighley, I like Jeff. I think the best thing for him to do here is to say, you know what? I played a game. I thought it was fun. I believed in the guys behind it. Unfortunately, the market doesn't agree with me. Do you know what I'm saying? That's his best course of action. If I was him, within a week, I'd be sending that tweet. Within about 1 week, if I was Jeff, that's what I would say. I'd be like, you know what? I played a game and I had fun. I believed in the guys that were making it. I thought I really wanted to give these guys a shot. Unfortunately, the market doesn't agree with me. I think that's the best way for him to approach this. Just be like, listen, man, I wanted to give these guys a shot. I thought they had something special. You got to side with the market here. You don't need to necessarily agree with them. You could be like, I had fun, but if the market's not having fun, that's really all that matters. That's really all that matters. No hate, no toxicity about it. It's like, look, y'all thought this was a good game. Y'all thought you had something. The market doesn't seem to agree. Yo, Mason tried to save the hype train with 5 seconds left. Thanks so much for jumping in with the membership over here on Purple. I appreciate that so much. We thank everybody who supports the channel, especially when you guys use those primes. That's very, very helpful. You guys that have Amazon Prime, you can do that over there on Purple. It's just included in your Amazon Prime subscription. I don't think Jeff needs to throw those guys under the bus like that. He's not the Bills owner. That's not throwing them under the bus. No, that's him admitting reality. If he says, listen, I like the game, I like the studio behind it. I thought this game was something special. Clearly, the market does not agree with me. That's not throwing them under the bus. I think that's just being honest. There's nothing in that statement that is blame shifting or like casting shade. It's just admitting reality. It's just admitting reality. I told you Highguard wouldn't break 100,000. It got awfully close, Toby. It got awfully close. Were you sweating? Were you sweating on your prediction? It got to like 97,000. You're like, oh no. If it wasn't for some of those server problems, it might have hit 100,000, brother. It was just 3,000 short. That's a statement with nuance that will be heard as, sorry, I didn't realize these guys sucked. I mean, I don't know. He doesn't need to justify showing the game. He liked it. He showed it at his showcase. He doesn't need to explain to the public why he did it. Toby says 97,000. Yeah, you were sweating, Toby. You were sweating. You got to admit it. You thought, oh shoot, this thing might hit it. Did better than Veilguard. I mean, that's not saying much. Why does he need to address it at all, though? I'll tell you why he needs to address it. He didn't just include it in its showcase and walk away. DK Bager, gifting a member. Listen, I'm not trying to call out Jeff Keighley. You guys know I like Jeff Keighley. He didn't just put a trailer in his showcase, y'all. He was the one that kept going out tweeting about it, marketing it, and he said everybody was going to apologize to him. Listen, man. You got... Come on. You got to own that. You got to own the fact that, you had a pretty, I wouldn't say big head, but you had some swagger about this. You really thought that this game, you're like, well, people are going to want to play this. This thing's going to be impressive. You're going to apologize to me. If he would have just put it in his thing and been done with it, then he could say, listen, y'all, I thought the game looked good. I put it in my showcase. That's all I did. You start tweeting. You start tweeting and saying people are going to apologize to you. Well, now we're having a different conversation. Because now you're on the defense of the game before it's out. I think that's a different equation. That's a different equation entirely. He's a guy that puts on an award show. I don't see him having some duty that requires us an apology. I don't see anybody asking for an apology. I didn't ask for an apology. The man literally, listen, you ain't going to win this argument with me. Not by a long shot. And I like Jeff. I like him a lot. I think he gets a bunch of undue hate. Homies, you can't do this in the lead up to the game coming out. You can't do this. In 48 hours, I'll be accepting your apologies. Now, yes, everybody made the same joke that I made yesterday. I think he forgot how the movie ended. John Hammond didn't get apologies. A bunch of people died and they fled. Okay, so he tweets this. He doesn't just tweet that. He tweets this. See you tomorrow. He tweets this. And here we go. He tweets this. Highguard is now live. Okay, so he's promoting the game. He tweets the Polygon article. Highguard isn't DOA. In fact, after 4 hours, I'm convinced it's one of the best new shooters in years. He tweets this. Screenshots of Highguard. He unretweeted somebody. He retweeted a guy that said that Jeff Keighley would be vindicated. He retweeted him. I think he unretweeted that. I'm sorry, you don't get to do all that and then act like I just put the trailer in my award ceremony, guys. I didn't have anything to do with it. Come on, own it. Just own it. Be like, you know what, guys? I think it's a great game. I think they did a great job. The public doesn't seem to agree with me. There it is. That's all you got to say. You're not apologizing. You're not saying sorry. You're not like, there's no accountability here. Own the fact that you got it wrong. Own it. Ain't nobody apologizing to you. You don't have to apologize to me, Jeff. I don't need an apology, okay? All right? This isn't 2020. We don't need apologies. We just need to be like, yeah, you know, yeah. You guys don't agree with me? He's like, and that's fine. That's the way gaming goes. You know? I don't think he needs to do anything. Oh, get the frick out of here. What would you expect people to do? Let's flip it around. If the game was a roaring success and he's out here acting like the cock of the walk on Twitter, what would you expect guys like me and others to do that said it had no shot and that it wasn't going to make it? What? Like in 2 months, if the game's a roaring success, would you have the same attitude? You wouldn't expect somebody like me to be like, I got it wrong, guys. The game is a roaring success. He gets to come out and say, here's a game. Everybody's going to want to play it. You're going to apologize to me in 48 hours. He's tweeting articles talking about how it's the next great shooter. And then he just gets to go dead silent and not, oh, yeah, it's over. Yeah, I'm sorry about all that. Yeah, dead game. Sorry. But anyway, guys, let's talk about let's talk about Summer Game Fest. You think that every content creator, every person on Twitter, every person with a YouTube account that said it looked bad, you think that we would have just been able to be like, yeah, well, let's just talk about something else? No. People would have been like, are you going to admit you were wrong, Reforge? You can admit you were wrong, bro? It's Jeff's job to make predictions about the industry. If it's not his job, maybe he shouldn't have done it. He's not a YouTuber making his living pontificating on games. No, he's a guy with an enormous platform. Used the platform to promote the game, used his platform and his social status within the gaming community to say that the game was going to be great and people were going to apologize to him. That he's actually bigger than somebody pontificating on a YouTube channel. He's so much bigger than that. He used his platform to be like, check out this game. He used his platform to be like, this game's going to be so big that you're going to apologize to me. I don't want an apology. I'm just saying, right? I'm just saying, from my perspective, what would be best for Jeff, as somebody who likes Jeff, remember, go back to how I originally started this conversation. Go back and listen to what I said. I don't need an apology. Because I like Jeff, I think the best thing for him to do would be to say, I really like the game. I really like the studio behind it. If the public doesn't agree, that's just the way it goes sometimes. Some amalgamation of that, I think, is what would look best from him. I don't care what he does. I'm not going to like stop supporting him or like stop watching Summer Game Fest or Game Awards or something if he doesn't apologize to me. I don't want an apology, okay? I'm not like an angry Karen trying to turn suit back. All I'm saying is, as somebody who likes him, the worst thing to do right now is to like pretend it didn't happen. That's a bad look. You didn't just say, here's a trailer. You said way more than that. And then you doubled down. You don't get to double down and then just like go quiet. Like, again, from an optics perspective, you put your credibility on the line a little bit. And I think, as somebody who likes Jeff, the absolute best thing for him to do would be to address it and say, I like the game. I think these guys did good work. Unfortunately, the public does not agree with me. Something like that, I think, is all you got to say. You can't double down to the degree that he did and then just act like, yeah, I didn't say anything. People have still not taken accountability for the yellow cyberpunk chairs and hyping the game. Some did. Some people did. Who was it? Somebody took their review of the game down. And it had a ton of views. Who was it that took their review down? Somebody did. Was it Yong Yeah or somebody? I can't remember who did it. Somebody actually took their Cyberpunk video down. That's a blow to your channel, let me tell you. Nobody likes doing that. Just zapping hundreds of thousands of views. I don't know how many views it had at the time, but like tens of thousands, whatever it had. Nobody likes doing that as a YouTuber. So, Jeff coming out and saying something like you're saying, it's save face for the next time he wants to do something like this. Just going silent hurts his trustability going forward. That's what I'm saying. Like, I think you win goodwill with the people. Listen, there are people that are going to hate him no matter what. He's never going to convince them to not hate him. I know all too well. Once somebody decides that they hate you, it doesn't matter. You could save their dadgum life from a burning building, and then they would be like, don't you be near me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Once people decide they hate you, they hate you. But there are plenty of people in the middle, and there are also people like me that are like, man, I like you. I think you should say something here, bro. I think you should just be like, you know what? Y'all don't agree with me, and I can accept that. Like a man, I can accept that. I thought it was great. I thought these guys are great. The public seems to not agree with my take. Can we talk about Highguard? How Highguard plans to make money? Yeah, the store. Whew. Ooh-wee. It's bad. A lot of microtransactions in there. You can buy like $100 worth of Highguard gold. He's just saying, I thought it would be a banger enough. Any version of that, I think, helps him. Like, I'm literally acting like a friend right now. If I was his friend, I'd be on the phone with him. I'd say the same dadgum thing. I'd be like, listen, man, I love you, brother, but you gotta say something here. You didn't just put the trailer in your showcase. You doubled down. You promoted the game. You told people you were going to be accepting apologies. You've got to do something here. You got to win this optics fight. You didn't make the game. You just thought it was good. You got to kind of dodge that train a little bit. You're already getting hurt. You know, I don't even think he needs to say my bad. I think he's going to say, listen, when I see games that I believe in and like, I'm going to put them before the public to give them their best shot. That's what I did with Highguard. If the public doesn't like the game, that's up to the public, not me. You know, he needs to say something to that effect. Listen, man, I'm going to put games in front of you that I think are dope. That doesn't mean every single game that I put in front of you is going to be is going to be massively accepted by the public. Like, he can obviously comb over it with somebody from PR to make sure that it sounds good. You don't want to make it sound like he's like sideswiping or throwing the devs under the bus. I think he can say both, that he likes the game and he likes the devs, and affirm that, like, listen, the public doesn't seem to agree with me, and that's just the way things go sometimes. You know? Yeah, my bad, y'all. I thought this was going to be lit. I'm a man of simple tastes. I like gunpowder and games with horses. You know what I mean? Like, this man rode around on a horse and shot some people, and he really thought this game was something. He went as far as gaslighting the community, thinking they were wrong and he was right. He definitely should say something. I would be totally on y'all's side, like Eugene's side and other people's sides. It's like, he doesn't need to say anything if all he did was introduce it. He could have been like, I put it in my lineup. I like the studio. I thought they had a good game. That's all I did. If that's all he did, then he's fine. I don't think he has to say anything. From an optics perspective, if I'm in his ear as his agent or his friend, I'd be like, I think you should say something. You really went further than just promoting the game. You doubled down. You made it seem like the community was dead wrong about this game. Gaslighting. I think people use gaslighting a little bit too liberally, but I do think when you say, in 48 hours, I'll be accepting your apologies. Come on, bro. He's provoking people in a lighthearted way. I told people when he tweeted that, I said, I like his energy. I do. Like, all right, dude. And I said yesterday, I think he forgot how Jurassic Park ended, but, you know, I liked the energy. And I said it yesterday. What did I say? I was like, dude, stick your chest all the way out and say it. You stick your chest all the way out. Say it with both barrels loaded. Yep, I think this game's going to be great. And when nobody likes it, or not nobody, but when such a small percentage of people like it and are playing it, come on, man. It doesn't do him any good with people that already like him, and all it does is give ammo to people that don't. I don't agree. I think people that don't like you or people that are on the fence about you would have a lot of respect for being like, you know what, respect, Jeff. Respect, you owned it. I think people would respect it. I don't think that the people that hate him would suddenly love him. Haters going to hate. We all know this, but watch IGN give it a better score than Battlefield. Lono likes him and wants it. Yeah, I like him, and I kind of want it. I'm like, listen, man, I respected your swagger and your confidence in this. I'd have also respect for you walking out and owning that you got it wrong. You know? Listen, we do this all the time, don't we? I'll be like, yo, I'll bet you cash money this game flops. And you guys are like, I'll take that action. We'll do like a friendly... We did that with the Game Awards, right? People really believed that Expedition 33 wasn't going to sweep like every category. And there were people that were telling me, which that's really what should have brought MASH back around. MASH, if you're watching from the shadows, you owe me MASH. You bet something was going to be Game of the Year and it wasn't, all right? That bet still stands, brother. Anyways, you better believe that when people say those types of things, whether it's in chat or it's a YouTuber, people come back around and they're like, all right, dude, pay up. You were wrong. This homie put it out there that people were going to be apologizing to him. He retweeted a guy who said that Jeff Keighley would be vindicated. Now, come on now. That's why MASH went away. That's right. What's good, Teddy? I played training. That was enough for me. Jeff doesn't have to say anything. A month from now, no one will care or remember. You think... You think no one will remember? Listen. People will remember, bro. Ask anybody who said that Redfall was going to be good if the public forgot. Now, come on now. How many people forgot that I said Kill the Justice League was going to be good? People throw that in my face all the time, and I own it. Every single time I own it. I'm like, you're right. I got that one wrong. There's no reason to move the goalposts. I got it wrong. I thought the devs had it. Their passion and their belief in the game, I found it infectious. I thought these guys have something here, and I was wrong. I don't think people will forget. Not on a stage that size, brother. Not on a stage that size. They're not going to be like, it's all right, bro. No big deal, man. Like the next time Keighley promotes something, people are going to be like, yeah, we remember that Highguard, Jeff. It's all love. I'm saying this with love. Like, people are going to remember Jeff. And right now, what a good portion of them will remember is that man walked out there and he owned it. He's like, I liked it. And I still like it. And I still like the devs. The public doesn't agree with me. That's what's great about gaming, is we can all have different viewpoints. And then that's it. That's the end of it. Somebody's in chat with a pitchfork. Yeah. Listen. If you're out here with a pitchfork and you're like demanding an apology, quit being a gamer Karen. Like, just cut it out. That's not good energy. You don't look tough. That doesn't come across as like a mature adult. That seems unhinged. You know, you owe us an apology. For what? It's a free-to-play game. Calm down. You know what I mean? If he was out here promoting some $50 game with a $100 pre-order version and he was talking about why you should pre-order and blah, 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 okay. You could maybe go that angle and be like, hey, man, I deserve an apology. I wasted money because of you. if you wasted an hour of your afternoon trying out a game, and not having a good time with it, and you're really angry with Jeff Keighley, I would say to calm down a little bit. There are worse things in life. If it smells like crap, looks like crap, tastes like crap, it must be. You were right again, bro. Keep doing true analysis for us gamers. I appreciate that, Stefan. I'm just going to continue to say, and I'm going to come back to this. This is, what this actually serves as a great reminder of? Stop listening to the people who say that you can't do this. You can't look at a trailer and make an assessment. You can't look at a trailer and break down gameplay and make an assessment or a prediction. Yes, you can. We did it with Mind's Eye. We did it with the day before. We did it with Redfall. We did it with Starfield. We did it with Highguard. This is 100% this is a legitimate way to assess a game before it comes out. The purpose of the marketing is to win me over. There are two sides to that coin. There's a side where people get excited and think the game looks sick. And then there's a side of that coin where people say, this game looks like garbage. No, thank you. Listen, publishers and developers, you know the game. We all play the game. We're all watching the trailers. We're all looking for clues of good things, bad things, and everything in between. And don't sit here and act like these publishers and these devs don't have professional, well-paid editors, and their entire purpose is to get you excited about a product. So you're well within your right to say, hey, whatever you're working on doesn't look that great. Looks a little rough. I'm not convinced. I think it looks bad. You're allowed to say all these things. Don't let these people committed to positivity make it seem like you're a villain. You're only a villain if you make it nasty and toxic and go after people. There's no reason to do that. Like, there are certainly people that are nasty about like every game that comes out. I'm not talking about that. I think it's completely legitimate to be excited about a game, optimistic or positive about a game. Go right ahead. I think it's equally legitimate for me to be on the other side of that situation and say, I think it looks bad. I think it's going to do poorly. I think both are legitimate. Yo, my man Bellows out here gifting a member. Thank you so much. Let me add it to the total. He ties it up. It's 4-4 between Twitch and YouTube. All I say is it's a slippery slope. Eventually you and the public will start to pick bad targets. Sound familiar? No, it doesn't sound familiar because I do it in good faith. And the people who pick bad targets and call everything woke and seethe and rage and mauled, they're dishonest and they lie. There's an enormous difference between me breaking down gameplay, looking at the public's general receptibility to these types of games, and predicting, I don't think this game's going to do very well. Or when I look at Mind's Eye and I say, the gameplay looks kind of rough, it looks like they're really hiding the game from us. All the snippets are very short. I did the same thing with Redfall. I was like, there's something wrong here. There's something odd within the gameplay itself. And then the game came out and we saw why they were marketing it the way that they were doing. They were keeping the game elusive. They didn't want you to see the actual finished product because it was bad. Right? That's not the same as bald woman woke, this is trash. That's not the same as photoshopping Aloy's face to make her look fat. That's not the same as taking every bad picture you can of the girl from Fable or Kay Vess from Outlaws looked so inconsistent. So I think that was actually a fair criticism, but it didn't mean that the game was quote-unquote woke. Outlaws was bad for so many other reasons. It wasn't, they're making our women ugly. Like, that line of bad targets, which I told you guys last year they would pick bad targets and they would look like fools, and they did. They said Splitgate was going to crash and burn. They went after Kingdom Come Deliverance. They went after Monster Hunter Wilds. They went after AC Shadows. They went after Yote. All those games were commercially successful. There was no go woke, go broke. They tried the same thing with Horizon, and they conveniently ignore the fact that Horizon as a franchise has sold like 40-something million copies. That's all done in bad faith. I think I've been doing this long enough where I'm not tempted to like make something up or to fabricate or Photoshop or to alter footage. I just look and I was like, that looks bad. Did I say Splitgate? I meant Split Fiction. Sorry. There's too many games with Split. Splitgate, Split Fiction, Split. I think there's just 2, but that's too many for me. I do that all the time. I say the wrong game. What was the other game I kept doing that with? It wasn't Splitgate and Split Fiction. It was something else. I kept saying the wrong name. I do that all the time. Excuse me. Yeah, so I reject the notion that you can't make assessments like this. You kept saying Tears of the Sun. No, there was something else. I did that, but there was something more recent where I kept messing the name up. Veilguard. Was it Veilguard? No. There was something last year. I kept doing it. What was it? It was driving me crazy. Every time I would do it, I'd be like, oh, did I say... Was it Outer Worlds? Was it that? There was... It was one of those games. I kept saying the wrong one. You kept saying Outer Wilds. Okay, that's one of them. There's still another one that I can't think of it. I've done it so many times. Yeah, maybe it was Dragon Age Inquisition and Veilguard. There was another one that I can't think of. I've done it so many times that there's one now that I've completely forgotten, that I remember doing it, and I was like, did I do it again? Ugh. It was more recently. It was like end of last year I kept doing it. Expedition 34. No, it wasn't GTA. The point is, I think there is a distinct difference between willful hate that uses very, very misleading tactics like photoshopped images, the complete lack of analysis of, you know, what actually happens in the intergalactic trailer. That's not the same as when I looked at Highguard and thought, oh no, this has got no shot. My favorite were the people who used the screenshot of the Steam charts who were like, I guess it's not Concord 2.0. And about 12 hours later, I'm like, you sure about that? Are you sure about that? No, it wasn't Kazan. First Berserker Kazan, I wasn't messing up. There was literally, I would say, a different game name. It was like Outer Worlds or Outer Wilds. It was something like that. There was another one where I kept doing that, and I can't think of it. Yeah, Kirby Come Deliverance. That was the one. If you guys haven't hit the like button on YouTube, really quickly take a second and hit that like button. You do not have to subscribe to talk in my chat, but if you like the content and want to come back another day on YouTube, be sure to hit the subscribe button. Mine's eyeing the day before. I get those conflated all the time. So yeah, it's. I think that was probably the thing about this that frustrated me the most, was that being critical. Wired Rope comes in with the 5 bomb. Thank you so much, and gets us to 164. He pokes the line and gives Twitch the lead. What do you think that they should do? They're experts. Why they choose this path? Well, I've put out a theory, Behemoth. I have a short on the channel right now from yesterday that's basically my theory on this. If you look at this game and you look at other games like this, they all... excuse me. They all sort of... They started production and, you know, coming together as a studio and working on their games around the same time. This studio, I believe, formed in like 2021. I believe that's what we read. 2021, maybe 2022. I don't know. Somebody found it the other day and like put it in the Discord. I think there's a reason that a lot of these games entered development and started production around that time. I think the same thing happened with Concord. I think they made the mistake that Naughty Dog made. Everybody looked at COVID and Fortnite and thought, we're going to get a slice of that pie because it's enormous. I think that's what people thought. I think people genuinely thought if we can just get a percentage of that insane live service pie, we will make money. They probably went to investors and did like a super lowball estimate. We're going to make your money back and then some, even if the game is not a Fortnite level success. They could do like really conservative estimates and be like, we're going to be able to make you some money. So I believe, investors, angel investors, venture capitalists, publishers thought, yeah, let's do it. Like, look at how much money Firewalk was able to procure in investment. That $400 million number that people throw around, they try to pin that number to PlayStation, which isn't true. That's false. They procured all that investment from outside of PlayStation. PlayStation acquired them and certainly lost money in the deal and what happened to Concord. But PlayStation didn't spend $400 million on Firewalk or on Concord. That was investment dollars that Firewalk went and got. Now, you might ask, how are they able to get that much money? I'm here to tell you, people saw dollar signs in 2020 and 2021 and thought, well, we should throw in on this. We should throw in on this. We could make some good money here. Okay, so fast forward 5 years, 4 or 5 years. Well, you get into 2025, you get into 2024, 2025, 2026. All of a sudden, these games start making landfall, and people are like, what the heck is this? Why did you make this? It feels like it's lost. It feels like it's in the wrong timeline or something. Kill the Justice League, Concord, this game, Highguard. That's what they feel like to me. There's a reason also that I think, like, when you look at Kill the Justice League and you look at Concord and you look at Highguard, there's a reason these games feel very, very corporate and calculated. They feel extremely disconnected from gamers because that's quite literally what they were born out of. I believe they were born out of, like, the boardroom. It was corporate opportunism. It's like, well, we could go into that environment and make a ton of money. So quick, get the game going. And I think a lot of these games, think about what they tried to do. They tried to iterate on existing things because that seemed to be what was working. Apex did it with BR, right? Apex did it with BR. They brought heroes to Battle Royale, right? So a lot of these games have tried to do that. They're like, well, let's try to iterate on something that's kind of already out there. Hero shooter, extraction shooter, whatever the case may be. You guys remember, I don't know when it was 3 or 4 years ago, I said, man, it seems like there's an awful lot of extraction shooters coming out. It seems like everybody is looking at that as the new frontier. Like, well, that's untapped, that ground hasn't been messed with. Let's go try to farm that ground. And so everybody started making extraction shooters. I think Arc Raiders is going to make it incredibly hard I think Arc Raiders is the Fortnite of extraction shooters. I think it's going to make it very hard on anybody else to get a foothold. It's going to be tough. It doesn't mean you can't. It just means it's going to be very difficult. I think it's going to be difficult for Marathon to get their footing. I think it's going to be difficult for any other extraction shooter to get their footing. We need to pitch this to Sony and Microsoft twice, and then they say no, we should make it anyway. The same thing happened with the medieval Western RPGs because we got a lot of those. I'm not sure what you're asking. Gaming reminds me like how rich people invested in tequila. It takes 6 years for agave to fully grow to make tequila, and by the time they're ready for the market has changed, and now tequila isn't as popular. Right. Anything like that. I mean, I'm not familiar with tequila, but I'm not familiar with tequila, but I'm definitely familiar with that idea. You can see it with live service. You can totally see it. And here's the thing that really stinks. It's almost like they weren't even paying attention back then either. Realm Royale, Paladins, and a litany of others. Radical Heights. There were so many games that came out. And I'm like, you guys really thought after all this time yours was distinct enough? Really? All right. Guys, if you're watching on YouTube, take a real quick second and hit that like button. That really does help me out. Let's try to get to 200 likes. We're just now 1 hour into the stream. That is so helpful when we have a lot of likes on a video. And it doesn't cost anything to hit the like button. Also, check your renewals. If you're paying for your membership, make sure and celebrate that. If you have a Prime, make sure and celebrate that. The next season of Daredevil is going to be in March. Wow, that's fast. That is fast. I mean, that's great. I liked the last season that they did. It was great. Snowed in playing Code Vein 2. Yeah, you can play it early if you buy like the really expensive edition. I thought about that, like doing that today. The more gameplay I watched, I was like, I don't think I'm going to be able to hang. I don't think I'll like it. It just doesn't look like it's my kind of game. I'm still working on Mio Memories in Orbit. I almost put it down last night. There's a section that I really don't think is designed well. There's just no checkpoints, and it's a platforming section. And I finally got through it this morning. There's an accessibility feature you can turn on that's supposed to help with those sections, and in this section it doesn't help because you can't stand still. Like if you stand still, you get a health bar back. Well, some of the platforming sections respawn you, and then you would just stand still, get your health point back, and just keep trying. What ends up happening is you run out of health points, and then you got to go all the way back to wherever your last spawn is, which the checkpoints are like pretty far away a lot of the times. So I was like, oh, I'll turn that feature on just for this section. It doesn't help in this section because you have to keep running from this like buzzsaw thing. And so it didn't help. So I was trying it, and my daughter was watching, which helped me stay calm, and I finally got it. And it doesn't work right in a couple of sections. Like it just doesn't, the frames drop, and it gets kind of funky with timing, and your downward strike's really inconsistent. You'll go right through the thing you're supposed to hit. It's kind of unfortunate. Overall, I've loved the game. Boss fights are great. Art style music's great. But these sections with platforming and a lack of checkpoints, I almost put the game down. I was like, this just isn't fun. I'll refight a boss 18 times because I get better each time. Platforming sections where when you finally end up failing and running out of health, I got to go all the way back and rerun entire sections of the platforming section that I've already beat. It just starts to get grueling. So, I don't think I'm going to play Code Vein. It doesn't seem like it's my kind of game. So, did you say Neo? No, Mio. Memories in Orbit. M-I-O. I've not gotten Rest for the Wicked yet. I want the 1.0 on console because I plan on playing it with my wife. It looks like a game that she and I could enjoy because you can turn the difficulty down. I know it can get pretty crazy and pretty hardcore. We don't play the games like that. So right now we're playing Core Keeper because it was on PS Plus. And I was like, well, let's try it. I was like, I heard good things. We've been enjoying that quite a bit. Kids have a way of keeping us calm. I remember those days. Save me thousands. Yeah, I mean, right now I could not recommend Memories in Orbit to people who like Metroidvanias without a lot of caveats. They do some things that I feel like it's just disrespecting the player's time. It doesn't feel like good game design. It feels very like designed for sadists that are like, oh, I made a mistake. Especially in the section that I was getting frustrated by last night. You can't see what's coming. Like, literally, you're being chased, and then the camera goes like this, and you're like, I didn't know that was going to be there. I can't see. So you just automatically die. Multiple times that happens. You can't see. So you learn the course. It's an obstacle course, basically. You learn the course by literally dying. If you're going to do that, then give me a checkpoint. Like, I don't mind that. I've played games like Ori and Rayman Legends that do that. You run, you jump, you miss a jump, and you're like, oh, okay, I didn't know that was there. Now I know it's there. Okay, cool. And this one, you're like, well, that doesn't seem fair. I didn't know that was there. I didn't know the floor was going to drop out or that bomb was going to be there. I literally could not see to prepare. Can I have a checkpoint, please? Bread My Butter says, check my last. I'm trying to understand. All right, hang on 1 second. I don't see what's in this game besides hero shooter that people don't like. I played it for 10 hours. It's fun. I don't get it. As far as what's wrong with Highguard gameplay, homie, I just... It's difficult for me to explain it to somebody who's having a good time. Let me tell you something. Jeff Keighley thought he was right. I don't think he was faking. That homie thought he was right. He thought we were going to play this and be like, this is a banger. So he's looking at the public response probably thinking, what the heck is going on? Do you want to know why people are probably, and this is why I said what I said on Twitter. I was like, let me guess. Highguard's not doing good because all those mean content creators hated on it. That's such a bogus narrative. Anybody running that narrative that's like, the game wasn't given a shot, people brigaded and hated it, and that's just not right. I'm sick of this. I'm sick of this timeline that we're in. You gamers are so toxic. All right. Let's just calm down for a second. It was marketing that failed to do its job. That's what happened. Gamers don't have the capacity to mobilize to that degree. And we can prove it. Even the people that brigaded against AC Shadows and Yote, they were brigading against that game. They were downvoting the trailers. It had no effect on those games. Do you want to know why? Because they're good products. They hit the market. They sold well. They got good review scores. Like, even when people did their best, I mean, their best to try to take down games and to downvote their trailers, it didn't matter. It didn't matter. So the idea that like any creator out there has the power to burn a game to the ground, I got news for you. If the game comes out and is good, all that falls to the wayside very quickly. AC Shadows is an established franchise. Poor comparison. It doesn't... But that's the point, though, is that this got immediately rejected. The downvotes on the videos and the comments happened immediately. There was no time for content creators to influence the public. There was no time. The immediate response was rejection. Like... Yo, good morning, Melrose Mike. Thank you so much. You know what this sounds like to me? What's going on here? Did I miss? Oh, there it goes. I like hit the button and it didn't move. You know what this sounds like to me? This sounds like when people blamed the Acolyte on YouTubers. Maybe, just maybe, the show was garbage. Maybe, just maybe, all those videos that were critical of it and were hating on it, maybe they got tons of views because there were tons of people that agreed. Yo, what's good, Melrose? Thank you for 60 months and a VIP. I appreciate you, Melrose Mike. This is what it feels like to me. It feels like we all watch a car crash into the wall, and then YouTubers are like, that's a car crash. And then people in the aftermath are like, all these terrible YouTubers made that car crash. And it's like, wait, what? No, we didn't do that at all. We watched it happen. We said it was a car crash. It was obvious it was a car crash. And people that are in denial were like putting their heads in the sand and being like, no, that's not a car crash. No. No, that's a speed bump in the road, and you're misjudging it. Nope. The customer's always right in matters of taste, and people put together a trailer of a video game. The public had a natural revulsion to it, and YouTubers all made their own videos about it. Do you see what I'm saying? You don't get to blame content creators and social media when something like this happens. So like every failed game apparently is what? Is a victim of some machine that like basically decides the fate of every video game, and the machine is what? Social media and YouTube? I think that's ridiculous. The car started crashing before it made it to the road. Yeah, it's almost like we're watching a video of a car driving 80 miles an hour towards a wall, and we're like, yeah, that car is going to crash. And then when the car inevitably crashes, people are like, yeah, well, the car crashed because of all these YouTubers. I'm going to respond to you now. I had to step away. No, you're good. Go ahead. Brandon says, I remember when AC Shadows dropped and it was selling well and doing well in the charts, they moved the goalpost and compared it to Valhalla. They did the same thing with Yote. They just keep moving the goalpost. Yes, because they're liars. People tell me not to throw that word around. That's what they are. They lie. They lie to the public. That's what they should be called. They tell the public things that are not true. They do not represent situations even remotely accurately. Did you react to the Highguard dev interview talking about how Jeff came up with the idea of them dropping the trailer at the Game Awards? They initially wanted the full Shadow drop. Yes. Again, I think that really speaks to... This is going to sound weird. I think that really speaks to his character. I think he did this because he believed in them and he believed in the game, and I think that speaks to his character. I think he's a nice guy. I think he misjudged the game, and he misjudged what the market would be receptible to. Free-to-play Steam reviews are probably the least reliable there are. No better than meta reviews. Player base speaks louder than those reviews. Yeah, I don't think the review... I said this yesterday, especially day one. I don't think the reviews matter as much because there could be server-side problems, disconnects, bugs, whatever. The player base numbers speak way louder than the reviews. People are just vacating the game almost instantly. Like, instantly. They're just like, they're done with the game. It was losing 10,000 players almost every hour. It was like 97. And then it was like, boom in the 80s, boom in the 70s, boom in the 60s, like, do. I mean, it was just immediate exodus. At first, I thought maybe the servers were having trouble, and that's why the player base numbers dropped. But then it just kept dropping. Apex did well from a shadow drop because the game was good, and they got word of mouth. Highguard wouldn't have got that. The other difference with Apex is streamers were playing it and the gameplay was obviously good and people were obviously having a good time. Homie, within an hour of this game dropping, I don't think you're disagreeing with me, but I'm just saying, within an hour of this game dropping, there was clips of like a guy that was just like, he was quitting. He was playing with Ninja and Tim the Tap Man, and he was like, yeah, I'm good. This is so boring. He just couldn't take it. My point is there's currently a bounty on live service games. I don't understand. What's it have to do with the discussion? Highlanders Grim, thank you for gifting a member over here on YouTube. We are 10 away from the next milestone. If somebody drops a 10 bomb, your platform gets the gifted. I gift every 25, so at 175 I will gift. A few people give YouTubers too much credit in terms of how much sway they have. That's what I'm saying, Gary. I think there's two things going on here. I think there are YouTubers that probably overestimate their influence, and then there are people who really like games like this who overestimate their influence as well. Check my last two. I responded. Got it. All right, let's take a look here. But the big difference to me is that this game is actually good. Cool characters, smooth gameplay, great shooting, unique objectives, great netcode. It looks amazing. Okay. What you just said, I think, is actually objectively false and not a matter of perspective. The game is not actually good. The gameplay has problems. There are plenty of people pointing that out with their like the mouse controls on PC terrible. They show how the shooting is really funky. They talk about how the netcode, not the netcode necessarily, but the optimization of the game and the resolution is terrible. So no, objectively, I think you're incorrect there. That's not a matter of perspective. I think you're maybe not seeing these things, but there are significant problems, objective, measurable problems with this game. Your opinion on the characters, that's neither here nor there. That doesn't really matter to me. All those other things are actually things showing up in negative reviews that are not running well. The game loop and how many people are in the match is all that needs to be, at least 4v4. 3v3 seems little, and the characters are actually cool, unlike Concord. I think there is a different criticism here than Concord. Concord's characters looked stupid and derpy and unappealing. Like, the one character looked like a substitute gym teacher. Like, what the heck? I don't want to play as that character. It's not that these characters aren't cool, it's that they're generic. It literally looks like one of those mobile games where I'm like gonna do like deck building and send out somebody to fight for me. That's literally what they look like. I literally feel like I'm watching a mobile game trailer with generic characters. At AOZ with 42 months in the VIP, I think when a content creator is consistent with the majority opinion, their video takes off. It's not the opposite of the creator creating public opinion. It's a barometer. AOZ, thank you. Let me add that to the total. I think what AOZ is saying is spot on. If all of the Star Wars fans would have loved the Acolyte, the people trying to hate on it, their videos wouldn't have done well. Because Star Wars fans have been like, what the heck are you talking about? Like, I want you to imagine right now a Star Wars channel bashing Andor. Look at what happened to Star Wars Theory when he did that. He got a lot, and I mean a lot of flack from the Star Wars community. He got a lot of flack. Why? Because they didn't agree with him. The Star Wars community was like, are you insane? This is some of the best Star Wars ever. Like, ever. It's some of the best. It might be the best. We're not going to debate Star Wars. So set that to the side. Stop typing what you're typing if you're going to talk about Star Wars. I'm using it as an example. If somebody tried to make a video right now trashing Arc Raiders and saying that it was garbage, saying that it was crap, that video would go nowhere. It'd go nowhere because the community would be like, what are you talking about? The game is great. It's doing really well. The player numbers are great. So, we have a situation where the public rallies around the negative videos, not because the videos are making everybody convinced. Like, people are not coming to the videos neutral, like a blank slate, like, well, what do you think, Mr. YouTuber man? What should I think about Highguard? What do we say all the time that the public and people on Twitter and people on YouTube, what do we think generally they're looking for? They're looking for affirmation of what they already think. So when a negative video about Highguard does really, really well, it's people that are looking to have their feelings affirmed, and then they flock to those videos. Now, we only made one video about Highguard. I saw lots of people, they kept going back to the well, they kept going back to the topic, and I was tempted to do that, but I didn't want to do that. It's difficult because, like, you want to do the YouTube-y thing, and you want to grab a hold of something and just beat it to death until its relevancy is gone, and you're like, yep, I made some money off of that. I don't like doing that. I like to take my shot, I like to say what I think, and then wait, and then revisit. That's why I didn't even want to revisit Highguard today. I wanted to give him 72 hours. I was like, well, let's see what his player numbers do, but they fell so fast. I was like, I couldn't possibly ignore this tomorrow. Well, this morning. I was like, I couldn't ignore this. We got to put this front and center. That's all anybody's going to want to talk about. The thing I say almost every day, says Zubair, is gamers will play bangers no matter what, and then they will find YouTube videos agreeing that it is good. Streamers are basically trapped into agreeing with their audience, so it looks like they're forming the audience's opinion, but it's the opposite. It's give and take. It's a bit of both. It's a bit of both. I'm starting to think people with potato PCs are the only ones complaining. No, Rise. I saw guys with really nice rigs talking about the resolution, the optimization, and the mouse controls. Even guys with really nice rigs are being critical of the game. Yeah. There are some issues. Definitely. I disagree. I think people are looking for community. That's why they watch popular videos. The post-processing settings are broken, says Rope. The game drops to 40 FPS, says FCAT. Yeah, there's issues with the game. For sure. Somebody says, are you still talking about Highguard? It always amuses me, people like you that want to posture like as soon as you think the topic is over, everybody should just move on and stop talking about it. I mean, the dadgum game literally dropped yesterday, brother. Yes, we're still talking about it. This is what gaming news coverage looks like. When something takes the main stage headline, it gets talked about a lot. Do you want to know why? I've been streaming for an hour and a half, and new people come in who haven't yet had a chance to share their opinion. So they share their opinion, and the conversation kind of gets stirred up again and keeps on going. We're not all sitting here being like, well, we've all said what we think. Let's stop talking about it. If anybody else comes in and wants to talk about it, we need to make sure and know and let them know we've already moved on. That's just not that's not a realistic expectation of a live stream. Yeah, that really is main character syndrome to be like, I can't believe you're still talking about this. Seriously, though, if Highguard was super fun and amazing, why would people pretend not to like it by themselves in their own home? Right, like that 97,000 players would have just kept going up. It just kept going up. Yesterday, your viewers were nuts, and it was a good day. Do you know what hasn't happened today? There were a lot of people in here yesterday that were like, what are you going to say when you're wrong, bro? What are you going to say when you're wrong, little bro? What are y'all going to say when y'all are wrong, little bros? Where'd you all go? I'm still here, y'all. You can come back. Where'd everybody go? Where'd they all go? All those homies yesterday. They were going hard in the paint for Highguard. I don't know where they are today. Because I tell you where they'd be if those player numbers looked good. They'd be in my chat. Told you were wrong about this. You didn't get this. You want to know why I know they were going to do that? Because they all ran to Twitter to do it really quickly. They're like screenshotting the Steam charts and like, yeah, everybody said this was Concord 2.0, huh? Well, I'll be checking those player numbers right now. Where'd they all go, bro? Don't put me in with that. I actually don't remember what your position was, Eggs. Yo, Brett with the $5 super chat. I actually missed the whole conversation. Can we start over from the beginning? I kind of forget what you said. Came back later, still beep, blah, 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 blah. Wait, that was the official launch. Now I need to go to the waiting room. What did you say in the waiting room? Not defending Highguard, you said. It could suck big ones. Just debating because I don't think we've seen enough to have a true position. So you said that yesterday. So to be fair, yeah, Perfect Eggs was not Defense Force yesterday. That's a different egg. The other guy had egg in his name. Perfect Eggs, I just checked his chat log. He 100% said yesterday, look, I'm not defending the game. He's like, I just don't think we know enough just yet. He was at least being neutral. He wasn't defending and saying, oh, no, the game's going to be awesome. You're being a hater. Ease up, Lono. Let's not get sensitive. I'm not sensitive. Sounds like you are all of a sudden. I was just surprised. I was making a statement due to being surprised. I really don't give an F if you talk about it on your own stream. I mean, come on now. Uh-huh. Sure. It's not the first time that a day after a topic breaks, we're halfway through a show and someone's like, you're still talking about this? If the game was $40 at launch, it would have rivaled Concord's free-to-play boosted numbers, but it also made it free to leave as seen by the numbers, for sure. Oh, man, there is one spot in my back. I can't get it to pop. I left to make coffee, ate breakfast, dropped my kid off, and I came back. If you meant nothing by it, then okay. People do that all the time. They're trying to take a shot. That's what it sounded like. It felt like a shot. It was like, you still talking about this? It's like, oh, if that's not what you meant, then no worries. I just think checking player numbers right now is super accurate. But that's just my opinion on the matter. The numbers feel a lot more accurate on the weekend. Wait. Hang on, Cat Uncle. Hang on. Brother. You're saying it's not super accurate. Now, hang on a minute. He says, no, mother effer, I like your product. So, that's my bad then, Tactical Gamer. That's my bad. You know what I'm saying, bro? Listen, they were coming at me yesterday in the chat. They were coming after me. They were coming after me, bro. I thought maybe you were in here trying to be a little, get a little snide shot in. Like, are you still talking about this? 5 spot from Joker Quinn. I think Highguard has some merit. I personally find it fun, but I know the fame won't last. Also, it seems smooth as butter on my PS5 in my experience as Joker Quinn. I would say that to push back on what you're saying, Cat Uncle. If right now the numbers had slowed down like a little bit, and I was sitting here trying to like overbake the cake, right? Tactical Gamer says, I think Highguard's terrible. Okay. It's okay if you don't. There are people, Sven loves it. Well, maybe not love. I don't want to put words in his mouth. He said he's played for 6 hours. He legitimately is enjoying the game. 6 hours is a lot, okay? Reforge, tell them that you're never wrong. I would never say that I'm never wrong. I've gotten things wrong many times. I'm a human being. So, Cat Uncle, here's the issue with the player numbers. If I was sitting here trying to overbake the cake and like, well, the numbers have kind of slowed down, doesn't look good, blah, 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 you would have a fair point to be like, we really need to wait till the weekend. Homie, the numbers fell like a rock. I mean, I don't think I have ever seen this. Concord went nowhere. At some level, this is its own breed of terrible. It's not the same as Concord. Like, Concord just got like nobody. Well, Concord also costs money, so it's not exactly a one-to-one comparison. People got to play Concord for free, and then they're like, I'm not buying that. I don't want to spend the $40 on it. It's no good. This is free to play, and I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a game fall that quickly. Usually a game goes up, hits its peak, and then for hours just kind of slowly declines as people are like, okay, I may play tomorrow, blah, 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 whatever. It literally is like up, and then within the hour of it hitting its peak, it loses 10,000, another 10,000, then 20,000 players. Just like, I mean, expeditious, rapid leaving. And then when you look at the review scores, it's like, I just, the weekend, I'll be real with you, dude. Nothing's saving this game. Nothing. Concord peaked at less than 700. What did it get during the beta? Concord beta peak players. Because I remember people talking about that. They're like, it did better with its beta. And I'm like, well, yeah, because it was free. Yeah, even the beta was terrible. It got 2,000 players. Concord was just absolutely and fundamentally rejected as a game. It didn't even do well when it was free. Like, Concord did terrible. This is not as bad as Concord. But you also have to remember something. This game went viral. Concord didn't go viral. Concord was just like, everyone's like, yeah, we have no interest in that. That looks terrible. It just slowly petered out with respect to public interest. This game got promoted on the biggest gaming event stage of the year, goes viral, has 500,000 people watching its showcase and its reveal. Out of that 500,000, it gets to 97,000 on Steam and then just instantly falls. Yeah, I've never seen anything like Concord, and I've never seen anything like this. These are both their own version of a record. Like, one doesn't even get the doors open and then closes them. I mean, it's like grand opening, grand closing. It's more like soft opening, grand closing. You know what a soft open is? It's like where you open your restaurant just to family and friends, just to like test flight your kitchen and your wait staff. That's literally what Concord felt like. Concord felt like a soft open, like, oh yeah, we're just going to let a couple people play. Yeah, no, the game sucks, we're shutting it down. That's not even a grand opening, grand closing. Like, that's how bad Concord was. I'm certain people will attempt to make comparisons and try to say that, like, this is worse than Concord. I don't think this is worse than Concord, but it's its own record. It's its own record. Concord was like record low lack of interest. This game is like record player loss. I don't think I've ever seen this before. For what it's worth, people are largely going back to work today. Come on, y'all. Come on. Come on, y'all. What we doing? For what it's worth. Come on, Lone Wolf. We have watched countless games launch in the middle of the week, and the player numbers. Come on. Come on, man. What are we doing? Oh, man. You know I love you. I love you. Guys, thanks so much for another big turnout today. There is other gaming news for us to cover. I'll cover that later when I feel like the conversation's kind of naturally wound down. I don't think Lone Wolf's coping. I just think he's like, well, for context, people are going back to work. Listen, we've watched a lot of games launch in the middle of the week, and they maintain crazy numbers. Now, to be fair, a lot of these games, like I remember when Helldivers was hitting its peaks, and I remember when Arc Raiders was hitting its peaks, they did great during the week, and then Sunday was always the biggest day. Everybody's piling in as the weekend ends to get like one last session in, right? So, my kiddos are braving the snow again. They are so insane. Oh, it's a little bit better today. Oh, it's going to be a high of 28 today. Oh, okay. Okay, they might get to go sledding again today. It was just too cold yesterday. They wanted to go sledding with me. I'm like, little homies, it's 7 degrees outside. I'm not going out there. I was like, no. I'll go the other way, says Zubair. 97,000 was a snowed in effect. And there's a lot of people snowed in, that's true. A high of 28. Yeah, 28's not bad if you're wanting to go out and play in the snow. That's not terrible. We went sledding and it was like 24 degrees. Love the shirt, Lono. Very retro. The remakes are okay, but the original's ace. Yeah, I've not watched the latest one. I like the one with Olivia Wilde for more reasons than her, but she's obviously pretty memorable, but it's a great movie. How do we rate review Highguard? Listen, Steve, it was so bad I didn't even download it and try it for free. I was like, that's bad, bro. This is coming off a storm where a bunch of people were stuck in the house. I'm not saying a large portion of the players are going back to work, but I think there definitely some are. Here's the thing, Lone Wolf. I always appreciate somebody who's trying to be like, you're trying to give as much as you can to the game, like as much benefit of the doubt as you can. I don't think you can account for what happened in the first 3 to 5 hours of player loss. That's the most damning thing. The most damning thing is they went 97 and then they just basically went like this. There was no slowdown, nothing, just a fall. So, there's no way you can look at that. Forget the people, because Eugene's like, does people have power? Forget that. Look at the people who logged in and played. There is no way you can interpret this in a positive way. There's nothing you can do, no excuse you can come up with. Nothing. This game is crashing and burning. It's crashing and burning. It's a free-to-play game that got the 97,000 players, and literally within the hours of its launch, I mean, look at the Twitch numbers. The streamers memed on it and moved on. It hit almost 400,000 player viewers, and now it's down to like 8,000. It's over. It's over. I don't think the game even has a shot at this point. Marathon's going to crash because of Arc Raiders, I think. It doesn't do enough. What do you think? I don't know if Marathon's going to crash. I think the problem Marathon's going to run into is the recurring player base won't be large enough and it will quickly dwindle. I don't think the game's going to have staying power. I think Marathon will have a perfectly fine launch week. Everything after that is a giant question mark. I don't see a game with staying power. I just don't. I didn't even bother playing it, says Lone Wolf. No, that's what I'm saying. Like, I appreciate some of you guys that are trying to be about as charitable as possible. You're like, yeah, but maybe people are going back to work and maybe the glitches and bugs and disconnects are why people left. Like, I appreciate the heart behind that. I'm like, brothers, we're calling balls and strikes here. This is an absolute strikeout. I don't think the game has a shot. This is like what happened to Concord. We looked at those numbers of Concord and it was like, yeah, this is over. This is dead. And I think this game is suffering the exact same fate. Because what will happen is even the people that like it, there aren't going to be enough people playing to enjoy it, to enjoy it, or to matchmake or to do anything. I just don't think so. I think you're going to fall well below that. You can't have people matching with other regions. That will inevitably happen. If you're hitting, 5 to 10,000 player peaks on Steam, that's your biggest concurrent number, homie, you're going to be matching people outside of regions, and that just makes people quit even faster because they're like, well, now I'm just getting into laggy matches. It's a downward, it's like a slippery slope. It's like once you start sliding down, it's hard to grab onto anything. AOZ said something here. I don't think people took the day off yesterday. I think the people that played yesterday are the people that need the game to be free. Excuse me. Concept says, W thoughts, I agree. I'm wanting to, but if it has no longevity, then I don't know if I want to put money into buying it. Yo, it's good, Paranoid Merlin. The game sends you back to the main menu when it doesn't match you. Yeah, it's already got a 60% on PlayStation Store from the review scores. Yeah, my discount code for Gamer Advantage is Lono. Yes, if you guys want to get blue light blocking glasses, we do work with them. Yo, my man Captain Steve with £5 says Ball Pit got a free update. Regal, 2 new characters and balls is cool. I may have to check that out. I'm working my way through Mio Memories in Orbit. It's a Metroidvania. I can't really recommend it without some caveats. It's got some irritating design choices. The combat and the boss fights are excellent, and so is the art design and music, but it's a bit of a... I don't know where this sadist thing is coming from in Metroidvanias where they're like, your checkpoint's a mile away. It's like, you got to go all the way back. It's like, okay. I don't know why this is becoming a growing trend. I don't know. I thought Ori was going to influence the market more than it did. With Marathon, what bugs me is the neon highlighter colors that are in your face. I feel like if they reduce it, the game would have a better reception. I think there's something similar. So if you look at Highguard, and I said there's too many things for people to not like. So let's say you like PvP and you think Search and Destroy is perfectly fine. Well, in order to get to the Search and Destroy part of the game where you're attacking or defending, you have to loot, gather resources, and you have to play a game of Capture the Flag, because that's what fighting over the sword basically is. It's a game of Capture the Flag. You got to get the sword and escort it. If somebody kills you, you drop it and then they can grab it. You can make it a sword. You can make it a baby if you want. It doesn't matter. You're fighting over something to take it back to your base, or in this case, you're taking it to their base. It's the same thing. It's the same principle. So if you like Search and Destroy, you don't mind PvP, but you don't really like CTF, or you don't like the gathering of the resources or the looting, there's too many things in this game that could irritate you. Similarly, in a completely different way, I think Marathon's going to struggle in the same department. I think there are going to be too many things in Marathon to annoy people. Whether it's the UI, whether it's the looting, whether it's the hero abilities. There are certainly going to be hero abilities that are going to be super annoying. There's going to be meta gameplay in that game almost immediately. It's neutral bomb, not exactly CTF. You get the point, though, Kage. Like, the average user is going to be like, this feels an awful lot like CTF. That's all that matters, right? If it feels familiar to their game mode, they might not like that. Does that make sense? I think there are similar things that are going to happen in Marathon. If you like slaying out and playing PvP, I think you'll probably be okay. But then when the primary reason you're playing the game is like aspirational raid-like content, and there's like, a PvE element and these like spongy enemies, that could rub PvP guys the wrong way. And then there's a guy that like PvE and they like looting, and the PvP could rub them the wrong way. Do you see what I'm saying? I consistently think, and I said this about Arc Raiders before it came out, I said the problem with a game like this, and they were well aware of this with the way they set up the matchmaking. They clearly knew to guard against this. The problem with a game like this is it appeals to both types of players, and both types of players are going to find these elements annoying. Look at what the PvP guys complained about initially. They were all complaining about the arcs and getting killed by the arcs. They got better weapons, and then the arcs became a non-issue. But they were complaining about them initially, and I told you that they would. I said, the guys that just want to slay, they're going to get so annoyed with the arcs killing them. And I said, then the PvE guys, they're going to get annoyed if they get killed and they lose their stuff. I think Embark Studios was keenly aware of that reality. And like a 900 IQ play, they came up with a very finely tuned aggression-based matchmaking system so that if you don't want to get into the PvP encounters, you don't really have to. It'll be very, very infrequent. If you really want to slay out, it's going to put you into lobbies where that's happening. I don't know if Marathon's going to be able to do that. I don't know if they're going to be able to create a system where is the game even going to be conducive to that style of play? It literally feels like a match. It feels like a PvP match. Like you go in and you fight and you get out. It's the way they're positioning it. It's the way they're marketing it. It's the way they're building the heroes. The heroes seemingly are all built to engage. Like 90% of them are built to engage with other players. To detect other players, to give you an advantage against other players, to give you, lateral or verticality, movement against the players. I think there's too many things there that people are going to stick on and get frustrated by. And I think that happened in Highguard. I think people were like, there's too many things here. I'm playing like 4 different game modes in one. I said this earlier today in the show. It's like, you're hoping that people love all 4 game modes, which traditionally we know that's not true. When you go into games like this, there are the people who love CTF. There are the people that love Search and Destroy. There are the people that love Team Deathmatch, and they generally stick to their playlist. The Highguard trailer shows AI minions on the way to attack the castle. The actual game has little Muppet minions that do nothing, and there's absolutely nothing to shoot on the way to the castle. You need loot. The bots are defending the loot. They position PvP because players are the most dangerous thing. It's not just an arena match. As a PvP player, I love fighting the bots. I know. I'm telling you, in my experience, PvP players will find that to be a nuisance and annoying. They will. I'm not saying all. If you poll and you you take 1 million PvP players and they're all going to come over and try Marathon, if you ask them all, would you prefer the bots to be not in the game and just fight other players? The majority of them would say yes. I would prefer to not have to deal with the bots. It's a very common theme. I don't think that kind of a prediction or observation is that outlandish. I think that's a common theme. I said it would happen in Arc Raiders, and it was the number one thing you saw the PvP boys complaining about in the early days. They hated the Arc. It drove them nuts because the Arc is aggressive. They're used to bots in other games where you break aggro and the bot's like, where did they go? And these guys are like, I'm going to find them. They went over there behind that wall. I don't think I've ever been pursued by an AI NPC in a video game the way that they pursue you in Arc Raiders. I don't think I've ever been pursued like that, ever. That's why it's not just a match. There are layers of survival. You have to survive because the world is trying to kill you. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Those are just more things for people to dislike. You know what I mean? Yeah, Snow Macaco or whatever. I have no idea what you're talking about. That feels like you're baiting for me to talk about something that's either completely out of left field or inappropriate or something. I have no idea what you're referring to. I'm not going to pick a team. I'm not sure what you're talking about. They complained about bots in Warzone. Flesh Weasel says, I didn't like Ark. It's not my cup of tea, but I will say the matchmaking was genius, and a lot of extraction games would succeed if they followed in the footsteps of Ark. Well, remember what I said before it came out? I said, look, if even Tarkov added a PvE mode, I feel like y'all are going to have to add some kind of a PvE mode. And they did. The matchmaking essentially allows you to basically have a PvP mode. Do you know what I'm saying? The matchmaking essentially allows you to do that. It's like you can go in and you can play Arc Raiders and you can basically only ever really deal with the bots and the loot. That's literally what they built. They built a matchmaking system that essentially allows your behavior to dictate what you experience. Like, that's essentially what they did. So they basically did the thing that I thought, man, you're going to need to do that if you want to keep a lot of people in your game, because people are going to get so annoyed they're going to leave. You're going to end up with a bunch of sweaties. Like, can you imagine? Many of you are still playing Arc Raiders. Can you imagine if Arc Raiders was only full of people that play like the streamers do? Would you still be playing? Would you still be playing if every time you booted up Arc Raiders, that's what you had to deal with? I don't know. I don't know. I think a lot of people would have quit. They'd be like, this is too sweaty. I don't like this. Plenty of people have comments on my video. Plenty of people. They're like, oh, man, I don't ever get in fights. It's freaking great. I love it. They're like, I just get loot. I just play with my boys. I'm friendly to everybody. Everybody's friendly to me. It's why I bring up Rust a lot. It's still a huge game, and lots of people think it's toxic, but people love surviving. Those that are looking for a great extraction survival game will love it. I'm here to tell you, I don't think there's a lot of people looking for that. I don't. Here's a dilemma with what you're saying, Dudeness. Let's say that you're correct, and that Marathon's a very good, as you call it, this is what you're calling it. You're calling it a survival extraction game. Okay. I don't look at it and see that. I see an extraction game that has a lot of Apex in it. Okay, so if you're saying, no, it's very, very survival oriented, I just wonder if even extraction fans are going to like that element, or like, are PvP fans going to like that element? Like, who do you think that audience is that this game's really going to appeal to? Who are they? Where are they? What are they playing right now? The people that are going to vibe with Marathon, I genuinely am curious. Who are these people? What are they playing right now? Because it doesn't sound like it's going to be a PvP game, strictly speaking. It's not a PvE loot-based game, strictly speaking. It isn't survival. I mean, I'm just going off of what he's saying. I think that Arc plays as a co-op PvE game is extremely boring, and with the game actively encouraging a focus on PvE, it opens the door for Marathon to capture the crowd who wants a more PvP focused. I think you could not be more wrong. I think the vast majority of people playing Arc Raiders are not playing PvP. Your opinion of it being boring is superfluous to the discussion, because if you go and look at my video and you look at the propensity of the comments and you look at the poll that I ran on my channel and you look at the trend, I think the majority of Arc Raiders players are not slaying out and doing PvP. I don't. And you might be right in this one avenue, Corey. There are people that expressed a lot of dissatisfaction with the PvP in Arc Raiders. The hit registration, the desync, it just doesn't feel all that great. It's also third person. Yeah, sure. A ton of those people could flock to Marathon and become its core player base. I don't think that's good for the longevity of Marathon if it just becomes a PvP sweatbox. If all the PvP boys go in there and that's all it is, I think that also hurts its longevity. What happens in Rush? You gather materials and survive and fight players. Yeah, I would be interested for you to elaborate a little bit on why you think Marathon is survival. I'm not quite sure I understand where you're coming from on that. I don't want Arc to be a PvP only game. It's so annoying trying to take down a matriarch and then you get ratted at the end just to lose 100,000 of game. I only like PvE aspect of the game and I have 300 hours. Read up. All right, hang on a second. Sven says that's not a survival game. Survive the run. Come on, bro. Marathon isn't survival. Wait, are you saying he outlined why it's survival? You have to survive the run. Yeah, I think you're using that word inappropriately. When you say extraction shooter, that's all you have to say. What's built into an extraction shooter is the idea that you have to survive the run and get out. You don't need to use the word survival. When you use the word survival, you're invoking ideas, imagery, and concepts from games that are nothing like Marathon. You're not like drinking water and surviving the elements and, you know, it gets cold or hot in different areas on the map and things like that. Like, it doesn't have those elements. Like, I don't think you should use the word survival. When you say extraction, we all know that, yeah, you got to survive to get out. That's built into the game itself. Someone at Splitgate didn't think this one through. They deleted the reply. The guy says, honestly, I want to like Highguard, but less than an hour in and I'm uninstalling. I think a raid shooter, Bed Wars shooter, is a solid idea, but this execution feels like I'm playing an untested alpha and hunting down 3 people on a battlefield-sized map. Give me less looting. Yeah, Splitgate responded with a skull. They should be worried about their own game. Lono, I'm agreeing with you. I think that Arc Raiders is played a lot like a PvE game. I think that is a negative in the long term as the core gameplay fighting against the Arc leads to stagnant gameplay. I think the player-based numbers and their ability to add PvE content will continue to prove you incorrect. I mean, you can have the opinion that it's boring. It leading to stagnant gameplay, I think you couldn't be more wrong. All they have to do is add a new area, a new arc, a new enemy, a new weapon type. I mean, they can basically perpetually create relevancy for Arc. Like, I don't think there's this moment where people are like, yeah, it got stagnant and boring and we're all walking away now. Like, that's what's really, really interesting is that people are like, yeah, they said that if you only played it PvE, it would get really boring. And then it looks like a bunch of players are like, yeah, well, we disagree. That's how we play the game. Thanks for the aggression-based matchmaking. We get to play the game that way, basically. Rarely ever getting into PvP fights. I'm a Destiny player through and through, but I'm not going to play it because it looks uninteresting to me compared to other games like Tarkov. It's just another extraction shooter trying to do the same as Escape from Tarkov. Now, if they add the element of matchmaking like Ark has, I may give it a shot. I'm 37. I don't need my ego. I don't need to ego in PvP these days. Yeah, same. Which game is the state of play leak referencing? There's no game referencing it. There's just a state of play coming. We'll look at the articles here shortly. Show the player numbers right now. I mean, they haven't changed much. We've shown them plenty of times. Yo, good morning, JTAG. Really hope everything's going good for you. I appreciate that. The top 5 sales, Steam sales rating is going to paint a lot of metric watchers in a corner in the day one player if the day one player count is low. Well, for Marathon, I think Marathon's day one numbers aren't going to be that bad. I don't think Marathon's numbers are going to be that bad. I think they're going to do fine for that launch. I think their launch week's going to be perfectly fine. The bump for the morning is almost imperceptible. Yeah. I think the aesthetic alone of Arc Raiders has kept a lot of gamers interested. They did a really good job of like owning the post-apocalyptic identity and giving the game like a good vibe. I remember the first time I saw a trailer for the gameplay, I thought, man, it's not going to look that good when you're playing. That just seems completely unrealistic. They did a really good job of like nailing the aesthetic and the lighting, even in a multiplayer game. Like, I'm genuinely impressed. Any chance the state of play is about Marathon? I don't think it will be about Marathon. I think it will include Marathon. PlayStation has clearly shown a pretty strong interest in marketing the game. I think so. I think they've demonstrated that they want to make sure Marathon recoups its cost. It's everywhere. You open up PlayStation, it's like one of the first things that you see. You look at Twitter, you look at YouTube. Yeah. Highlanders comes in with a $2 super chat, says you only get one first impression in this market. This is true. This is true. It's one of the reasons why I didn't think, and I still don't know if Marathon's turned it around. I don't know if they've convinced enough people to jump in. Hang on a second. My wife's asking if she thinks she could get the car out of the garage today. Probably? Like, why? Jack Garland says, can we see the draft of your I was wrong about Highguard monologue? Yeah, sure. Hang on one second. Hang on one second here. So, it was just a first draft. You know, I didn't put a whole lot of work into it. But, yeah, this is it here. Yeah. Basically, I didn't write one because I was very confident that I was going to be correct. I didn't write one, bro. It's not like writing, you know how like outlets preemptively have like obituaries written when like a celebrity's close to death. You know what I'm saying? I didn't write one, bro. Shoot. Hang on. Lonostradamus strikes again. This didn't even feel like Lonostradamus. This just seemed like monitoring like public perception and being like, this thing's got no shot. Let's see here. Oh, it's actually better. Oh. Well, then, no. Hang on, especially. I'll defend this game. I'll see the player base. Yo, what's good, Parasito? In terms of Marathon's PvP focus compared to Arc Raiders, I think one aspect of the game characterizes it perfectly for me. Marathon has a self-revive item. Arc Raiders has a revive enemy raiders item. Expound on that. What are you attempting to say? I need you to expound on that. Like what you're seeming to indicate something and I'm not catching it. What are you? I don't want to guess. Just expound on your position. I don't want to guess. Frank last submitted a question and says, "What do you think Highguard didn't do early access? Is that necessary for a live service game?" Oh, if they didn't do early access, what do you mean they didn't do early access? They just let everybody play today on free to play. I can't do it. I tried to watch Cross's stream. He's lost the pot. He's still praising Midgard. Look, if he likes it, he likes it. Collide says, Destiny 2, highly likely. Call of Duty, DMZ likely. Arc Raiders, maybe. That's where they come from. The question is, for me, is what's the difference between these? Oh, you're saying people are going to go to Marathon. You're saying highly likely from Destiny. Call of Duty DMZ, which is Call of Duty DMZ even running right now? If Marathon fails, at least it will go out aura farming. I know we don't post him often, but is this Paul setting up defeat already? I mean, I'm not going to speak for him because I don't really care about what he says, but I would say anybody who is like super gung-ho about Marathon, they might be a little nervous given this week. They might be a little nervous. It's like, you know, it's a volatile market. It's a volatile market. I don't think they're worried that like, oh, Highguard is an indication of how successful Marathon will be. I don't think that. I think they're looking at the market and saying the market's incredibly volatile. So, look, Marathon could also fail. I don't think I've ever argued it will fail. I've argued it's not going to maintain a player base. It just doesn't seem like a game that'll maintain a player base. I argued that Concord would fail because it just seemed like it was completely dead on arrival. When I played the demo, I was like, nah, this is going nowhere. I said the same thing about Highguard. I was like, yeah, you might get some people to play it the first week. And I said, after that, you're probably just not going to, you're just going to really, really struggle with re-engagement. I didn't realize it was going to be this fast. If anybody wants to walk out and say they predicted this was going to happen with Highguard, I would love to see it. You show me the receipts that somebody said, oh, this thing's going to be dead within the first 24 hours. I think most of us were saying, give it a week, and then we'll see where people re-engage. Marathon is about to slip out of the top 100 sellers. I think people that defend the game will say it's still high pre-orders on PlayStation, and that pre-orders don't really matter. And I would say, look at the number of people following it. Look at the number of people that have wish-listed it. I don't think Marathon has turned the tide of public opinion. So I think it's going to struggle with re-engagement. I don't think it's going to have enough people at launch to feed re-engagement. I think it's going to have a decent launch, but then re-engagement will struggle. It's 143 in the top sellers. It's 53 in top wish lists. It's number 11 in wish list activity. It has 55,000 followers. Yeah, I've seen little indie titles like the week that they're coming out with like more followers than that. I've seen little indie titles with like 60 or 70,000 followers on that Steam database tool that you can use, right? Like, for comparison, there's a game called Half Sword right now that comes out. I think it's that was that weird combat one. It comes out in like a couple of days. That's the physics-based medieval combat simulator. You guys remember this game here, Half Sword? Okay. That game has 87,000 followers. It has almost twice as many followers as Marathon does. Marathon is Bungie's latest title. Like, I'm telling you, I'm not trying to say that Steam is the be-all, end-all. It's a barometer of public interest. And I'm telling you, they did not turn the tide of public interest. I think people are the general public moved on very, very quickly. You have the core group, you have the Bungie homies, the Destiny homies, the Ride or Dies. They're the ones pre-ordering. They'll be there day one. They'll have a decent launch. I do not think they're going to have enough people from the general public playing for it to have good re-engagement numbers. I think its re-engagement numbers are going to be pretty poor. Winged Wheel with 13 months of Member Plus Halo, no 13 months and loving the content. Keep up the good work. Thank you so much, Winged Wheel. Guys, check those re-ups. We were ahead pace coming into today. Let's keep that energy. If we hit 500, Madam has to react to the weekly gaming news. If you go beyond that and hit stretch, we're going to make Madam play Highguard. Hopefully the servers are still up by the weekend. Marathon being paid, going to do okay for 1 week, but 1 month and 1 year. I think re-engagement's going to be the biggest challenge there too, because how do you get new people to come in like 6 months later for $40? Are you going to drop the price? Are you going to make it free to play? Like, I don't know. I think their biggest struggle is going to be so much of the public has just lost interest. You can see it in the trailers. You can see it in the videos. You can see it in the way it's been wish listed and pre-ordered on Steam. I think the public just kind of moved on. Some of that's because of Arc Raiders. Some of it's because of their own showcase. Some of it's because of the art theft. You know, there's a handful of reasons. You really can stack up the pain against Marathon. It's got a lot working against it. The D2 streamers will be given so many copies to do giveaways for Marathon. It'll be a heavily sponsored directory launch week for sure. Marathon might be the next Bungie title, but it's not what I want from a Bungie game. D2 scaled back the emphasis on PvP because the vast majority of its player base cared only for PvE. The modern Bungie crowd don't want PvP. Yeah. Okay. Oh, wait. I've got to enable this. All right, hang on. They make you change categories for this one. I'll have to wait. When the following count is so low, you basically need to go viral on release. Like Ark had them numbers years before release. Yeah, like Ark had that many followers in July of 2023. That's right. Public interest increased for Ark. When did it spike up on that chart there, Paul? Can you drag your mouse over and show me? There's a big spike somewhere in 2025. What month is that? If you play Marathon 4 weeks on release and hit traffic, even if it's for memes, I believe that. I'm not sure what you're trying to say. Probably the early summer beta. Right, like I think that they very clearly stoked public interest in a variety of ways. I think their trailers did it, and I think letting people play did it. I don't see that happening with Marathon. I don't see Marathon dropping trailers and public interest, viewership, and wish listing going up. It's barely moving. It's just sort of there. It's like, yeah, these are the people who are probably already interested. So when they let people play end of February, that'll be the true test. Yeah, in April... No, I'm sorry, May. April to May, there was a big spike of people wishlisting Ark Raiders. April to May. That was one of the public tests, wasn't it? Like a server slam or something. Bungie hasn't really added any PvP content like maps to D2. It's been the same maps for 10 years. Virtual Boy drops in 3 weeks. Will you cover the tech and the games behind it? No. MTO, the question command won't work when you're not an active member, so you might need to either get re-upped or gift. Read my last one you can. Sorry, Collide. What'd you say? Collide said, what's the difference between them? What's the difference between what? I'm not sure what you're saying. I need more to go on than that question. You need to log in as well to help Madam get a match at this pace. Oof. Valve is facing a $900 million class action lawsuit? For what? Valve is going to have to defend itself in court for its pricing and commission practices. A class action lawsuit in the UK brought against the company is looking for roughly $900 million in damages. First filed in 2024 by Vicky Shotbolt, the lawsuit claims that Valve charges, quote, excessive commission charges that lead to an unfair price, which is then passed on to the consumers. Hang on, I got something here. I've got a 5-bomb that comes in from Hidden Siriu. Thank you so much. We're 2 away from the milestone. Who is going to claim that one? The lawsuit alleges that Valve forces platform party obligations that prohibit publishers from selling products through other distributor channels on better terms than the same products are available on Steam. Yeah, I've talked about this before, and I feel like a lot of like Valve guys and Steam guys would hand wave this. They would say that's actually not true, but it's my understanding, and I could be incorrect here, but it's my understanding that when you sell a game in Steam, you can't sell it for cheaper anywhere else. They need pricing parity. Is that true or is that false? That seems to be one of the things in this case. Valve defense claims that the group is suing the company cannot establish proper claims regarding its commission pricing due to the fact that the suit doesn't consider the effect of Steam keys. Without a credible plan for taking Steam keys into account, the PCR cannot establish Steam's actual effective commission charge, and without this, the PCR cannot establish whether the commission charge amounts to an unfair price. They failed to show a plan to determine which Steam partners actually paid these allegedly unfair prices. So they're defending it and saying that there's no substance to the charge, there's no merit to the charge. Least favored nation clauses, says AOZ. So least favored nation clauses, like what are they? So if you sell your game there, I can't put it on sale somewhere else? Is that true? Is that what you agree to? I thought it was most favored nation or first favored nation or something like that. I didn't know it was least. Because we have the cheapest prices of any platform. I've discussed many times, you can get cheaper prices easily at the same time from other official stores. Keys from the devs, in fact. He means most favored nation. It's a most favored nation clause. If you buy a game on Steam, having to buy the DLC in that store is fine. Yeah, that's not an issue. That I don't take issue with that. It means you always get the best terms. It's a play on words joke. Oh, AOZ was trying to be cheeky. Okay. If you guys are watching on YouTube really, really quickly, make sure and hit the like button. Read my last. Destiny 2, highly likely. Call of Duty. I already did Collide. I already interacted with that. You must have missed it. You said that the people coming into Marathon, Destiny 2 was highly likely, Call of Duty DMZ likely. And I asked, is DMZ even still going in Call of Duty right now? And then Arc Raiders maybe. The problem with people coming from Arc Raiders is they could also very quickly go back to Arc Raiders. They could very, very quickly go back to Arc Raiders. Like, anytime you pull people from a game like that, you're running the risk of those people saying, yeah, I'm just going to go back. I'm going to go back to what I was already playing. I'm going to go back to my home game. I don't know if Call of Duty DMZ is even still going right now. Now, Destiny 2, yes, I think a lot of people are going to come from Destiny 2. I think the problem is the vast majority of Destiny players over the years have preferred PvE. All of the player numbers have shown this. All of the player trends, anytime you run the numbers through Charlemagne, anytime you try to see what the player base in Destiny is doing, they are preferring PvE, which means a lot of them are going to have, a natural, I think, propensity or preference to not really enjoy Marathon. They're going to be like, yeah, I don't, why am I going to play this? Did you read my question? Hang on. Oh, Frank, I misunderstood your question. My bad. I don't know if he's here or not. He says, why do you think Highguard didn't do early access? Isn't that necessary for a live service game? I mean, I don't think they did early access because I genuinely think they thought the Apex strategy was a winning strategy. Listen to the interview. They didn't even want to be a part of the Game Awards. They wanted to just straight up shadow drop this game. They were going to take a page one-to-one lifted right out of the playbook of Apex Legends. They were carbon copying the strategy. Big, huge capture event. Get a bunch of content creators hyped about your game, record them hyping up your game, launch the game, try to set the world on fire, right? Keeley is the one that wanted to include it in the Game Awards. He thought they had a winning ticket. So I don't think they did early access for that reason. I think their strategy and their mindset was, let's just do the same thing that we did with Apex. So, I think in general, that was their strategy. Assessing whether or not it was effective and all of that, I mean, we've done that 10 times over, but I think that's why they didn't do early access. Jay says, are you going to play Marathon at launch? I don't see why not. I had no interest in playing Highguard at launch because I thought it just looked absolutely terrible. I thought it looked like a lame duck non-starter. Like, I was like, this game just got no shot. Like, I genuinely thought that. And then when I watched their presentation and I watched streams and reactions and I saw clips on Twitter, I was like, I'm not giving this game any of my attention. I don't need to play it to watch it crash and burn. I played 2 to 3 games of Concord during a beta, and that was it. And it was only because my nephews wanted to play. I had no desire to play Concord. I thought the same thing. I thought this is a disaster. This is a non-starter. Played 2 or 3 games of Concord with my nephews, and I was like, yeah, this thing's DOA. I think they believed that they were the reason Apex succeeded. They thought they could do it again, and Jeff bought the hype. Marathon rumors, there's going to be a raid or dungeon in the Marathon ship. It's not really a rumor. They've all but said that there's going to be some type of a raid-like thing on one of the maps. I believe you're going to need a certain level of gear to get there. It's going to be difficult. It's not going to be something that, many people are going to be able to do. You should play Marathon. You might get hooked. The likelihood of me getting hooked on Marathon is almost at a 0. I don't really like extraction shooters. Arc Raiders won me over only because I could play it with my friends or my wife or my nephews, because we were playing it like a looter shooter. We weren't really playing it like a PvP extraction shooter. And even that game, after 36 hours, I was like, I've had my fill. I don't really play games like that anymore. I'm more of a single-player gamer now. Or co-op. I love co-op. $5 super chat from Charles Hawk. People are going to play Marathon, get their loot stolen by a drone, killed by an invisible player, and run back to Arc Raiders. I think that's a decent prediction. I think it's a decent prediction. You can look at even the most recent holiday sale as proof. Not only could you get games cheaper on Green Man, Ubisoft had their games on sale, but cheaper on their platform. I don't know if those are great examples, Omar. Is Green Man a reseller and Ubisoft has jurisdiction over their own platform? Is Green Man a reseller? I genuinely don't know. I'm asking. I don't think you can put your game in the Epic Store. He has keys directly from devs. That sounds like a fancy way of saying reseller to me. Is Green Man a reseller? Are you buying keys from him that he's already purchased? I'm saying him, but the platform. That he can dictate anything he wants if he's a reseller. That's not even... No, not purchased. Keys are sourced directly from publishers or authorized distributors. The company is widely recognized as safe, legal alternative to official storefronts like Steam. How are they able to discount then? Who determines... Ubisoft's a platform? Yeah, but Ubisoft can dictate the price of a game on their own platform. I don't think that's what we were talking about. My question is, when a game goes on sale on Green Man, who determines that sale price? Is it the platform or is it the publisher? Because if he decides to run a sale on games, that's the platform's prerogative, is it not? Or does Ubisoft get to initiate it? It was my understanding that there were companies that literally came out and said this. They were like, if we want to put our game on sale on Epic, we have to do the exact same pricing on Steam. We have to do we have to have parity. I'm pretty sure Green Man gets their keys directly from the publisher or the devs. If there's no merit to the case, there's no merit to the case. It was my understanding, which I said I could be wrong, it was my understanding that people took issue with this before and everybody hand-waved it away and said that it wasn't true. And I feel like it's now resurfacing again that, like, no, they quite literally have things baked into contracts that are, at some measure, anti-competitive. Is it a second sales site? I can't tell. GMG definitely does not do sales parity with other stores, at least in terms of timing. I think it's interesting. If a game goes on sale on Ubisoft's storefront, I don't necessarily think that counts because it's their own dadgum storefront. Like, you can't dictate. Like, they're not going to enter a contract with Steam, and Steam can dictate to them what they charge on their own platform. I don't think that's the same as being like, no, you can't mark the game down on PlayStation or Epic or Xbox without giving us the same pricing parity. Especially Epic. Epic is literally a direct competitor. What is Green Man considered a direct competitor? Because it's a platform competition between Epic and Steam. Do they classify the platform differently than a storefront? Like, is Green Man considered a storefront versus Epic is literally a platform itself? So wait a minute. If I go to Green Man, am I buying a Steam key? that I then use in Steam. Thank you, Stone Spire, for gifting a member. I think he's going to land this plane on his own. He wants to see that 175. Thank you, Stone Spire. Yes. Yeah, that's not what we're talking about then. No. I need to know Stone Spire lands a plane. I don't care about somebody who's selling keys to any platform. I'm talking about a platform. Can you make your game go on sale on Epic without putting the game on sale on Steam? Is that allowed? If that's not allowed, that would be considered anti-competitive. You're quite literally saying, if you're going to sell games on our platforms, you can't give anybody that's in direct competition with us a better deal. It doesn't sound like Green Man is in direct competition with Steam because it just sells keys. That's a distributor of keys. It's not a platform. It's a storefront. You're just going and buying a Steam key, and then guess where you're going? You're going back to Steam and plugging a key in. It could be any platform. If that's the case, then there's no merit to their lawsuit then, because that's the one thing I saw mentioned like a year or two ago, and it seemed to me that like that was people's main gripe, was that you're making it to where nobody can really compete with you. They can't even compete on price. It's like, well, let's say Epic wants to do a deal with us and they want to do a sale or a push or something. We're not allowed to do it. That was my understanding. If that's not true, then there doesn't seem to be any merit to the case. I'm fairly certain that the Steam agreement is for base price, not effective price at any given moment. Stonespire says, I couldn't stand to see it that close and not land. Yeah, man, we shot out like a cannon this week. We were well ahead of pace. We're going to probably end on pace today. People asking for Destiny 3 don't realize why Marathon exists. It's the project that lets Bungie rebuild Tiger for modern PvP. Destiny PvP will still carry legacy constraints. Lono is sponsored by Deadpool. Why am I not surprised? That's right. That's right. It's these fancy channel skins you can turn on. It's a great way. Usually they put us on front page when we run them, but it hasn't been happening now. It's still a great way to get like a very, very easy sponsorship. It's basically the new form of the bounty board. Sometimes games go to Epic first. Well, that's different. That would be somebody entering into an exclusive agreement with Epic. The issue that was raised in the past was if you enter into an agreement with Steam, they want pricing parity. If that's not true, then people are misrepresenting the contracts, because that's what I was told, that's what I heard, that's what an article alleged, that's what this lawsuit is alleging. Epic Store cut is smaller than Steam's. The game should naturally be cheaper on Epic Store. I downloaded Destiny yesterday, and I think I'm going to delete it again today. It's just so repetitive. It's just been out for too long, brother. It's just been out for too long. There's just no way they're gonna keep people like enthused, or they're gonna keep things fresh. I think you're always gonna struggle with that in a game that's been out for that long. It's always gonna be a challenge. I'm not defending the game, obviously. I'm just, perspective is helpful. The game's been out for, at this point, they're entering their 12th year. That's just going to be the natural course of things. I've never seen a game cheaper on Epic than Steam, says Zubair. That's because the clauses is likely post-platform commissions. I legit tried Highguard for an hour, Lono. It's not my cup of tea. You're probably in good company. Guys, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure if you've been lurking today and you enjoy the show, it's free to hit the like button, and it does help me out. So I appreciate you guys so much. I don't know if you guys saw this, but very quickly, Windows Central didn't actually ask the question, but I think their summation was good. Their summary was good. Remember the 30% margin for Xbox that was allegedly debunked? Yeah, it wasn't debunked. Windows Central doesn't ask about this, but they recount. There's an interview where Sarah Bond is directly asked about the 30% profit margin put on Xbox. Her response is to dodge the question. Behemoth with a 5 bomb. There it is. Setting up the 20 bomb dunker. We'll see if anybody does it. I don't know if we've gotten a 20 bomb this week. It'd be the first one. So Bond does not directly confirm or deny the reported figure in her response. Okay, instead she reframes the question around broader priorities and flexibility. This is a common tactic used by Sarah Bond. She doesn't answer questions directly. She's very slick. She says, we're always adjusting our investments based off of what's happening in the macroeconomic industry, what players are asking and what developers are asking for, and we're really focused on giving a full suite of experiences, people across all of that. And you're right. It's a continuous cycle where we are making sure that we're driving a profitable business, a healthy business, but we're also driving more player growth and developer growth and engagement across the whole system. This is a whole lot of nothing. Now, Windows Central is good to say. The answer offers little clarity on whether the 30% margin target exists in practice, but it does reinforce Xbox's public positioning. Bond repeatedly frames profitability as something to be balanced alongside player engagement and long-term growth, rather than a single driving force behind creative or strategic decisions. However, the absence of a direct denial does lend some additional weight to the reports around a 30% profit margin target, particularly given how deliberately Bond sidesteps the figure when asked outright. Now listen, we were told that was debunked. If it's been debunked, she would have said that's not a total or a number that we have given to our developers or the division as a hard thing that we're expecting them all to hit. She would have clarified it, she would have spoke to it, and she didn't. I would say, and good on Windows Central for saying she sidesteps the question. They didn't ask the question right. I was incorrect in that. Right? They concluded the obvious, that Sarah Bond sidesteps the question, and essentially she confirms that the 30% margin is in fact something that has been handed down to the studios. So much for it being debunked. As I said at the time, when we were being told it was debunked, it was like, by who? You don't even have a quotation. You don't even have a spokesperson. You're just claiming it was debunked. I think people need to be very, very cautious about the coverage that company continues to get. Very peculiar how that made the rounds and basically was a complete fabrication that it had been debunked. It's alarming to me how much that platform gets fair treatment and spin over the years. It's a little absurd, to be quite honest. It's a little absurd. Yeah, 2.5 hours. It's not terrible. That's why her and Phil are where they are. They're fantastic with PR. Yeah, they're exceptional at saying nothing. Like, they're so good at saying nothing. They'll use like 100 words to virtually communicate nothing at all. Dodging questions like a bullet time in the Matrix and using wordsmithing skills like pros. Yeah, isn't 30% a mostly standard profit margin across of all entertainment? No, that's why it was such an alarming number. Yeah. I think the standard's closer. I think the standard's between 12 and 17, Paris. That's my memory. Xbox 30% profit margin. I believe it was considered very ambitious. This here says the 17 to 22% industry average. Xbox's previous range was 10 to 20%. So they were previously right in range. On the low end, 10%. On the high end, 20%. Likely depending upon who they're dealing with. Because you got different companies with different potential margins. 30% is very common in software. It might be common for Microsoft in their software division, but it's not common in the gaming world. That's why it was such an alarming number when it got thrown out. People that commentate on the industry were like, wait a minute here. What? Like 30%? I'm finally checking out Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. What should I use my first character card on? I don't know. I didn't get very far in that game. I thought it was going to be co-op, and it's not. You can only like do like side missions co-op. You can't play the whole game co-op. See my last comment, but platform commissions isn't the same as what you were currently stating, which is game profit margin. The lawsuit with Apple versus Epic divulged Epic's lower commission. Okay. You might just want to look up a guide, Clevelando. I didn't make it very far in Grand Blue Fantasy Relink because I was going to play it with Madam, and you can't. Like, you can, but you can't. Christopher Burnett, good to see you, man. He submits a question that says, rumors on the internet suggest Rockstar may only launch GTA 6 digitally and physical editions will release later or even early 2027 to avoid any story leaks. What do you think? I think there's a believability. I don't know. I can't speak to probability because I just don't know. I think it's very believable. Rockstar is being extremely, extremely controlling and careful. I mean, they fired a bunch of people for leaking stuff. I mean, allegedly somebody was fired for something as minimal as leaking Jason and Lucia's names. That's pretty significant. If you're going to fire somebody for leaking the name, I mean, they're really, really worried about people knowing things or seeing things early. They seem very, very, I'd fire someone for leaking. But that's what I mean. They're hyper aware, I guess is what I mean. I'm not saying the person didn't deserve to be fired. I'm saying they are hyper aware of what is getting out and what is leaking. The names of the characters got leaked, and they found out who did it and fired them. So, how is staggering the physical release going to prevent leaks or spoilers? Joker Quinn. Homie. That's one of the quickest ways that games get into the market well before they're supposed to be in the market. Some guy in a warehouse somewhere just tucks it in. Falls off the truck. Really, really hard to control the distribution of a game of that size and scope. There will be if they did physical copies, they would be everywhere. Warehouses all across the globe. And it just takes, what? Out of thousands of people who see them, touch them, move them, you just need a couple to just whoop. You just need a shift manager in one warehouse to look the other way and be like, I didn't see anything, boys. And then all of a sudden, it's all out there. Everything. It happens a lot, actually, Joker Quinn. It does. It happens a lot. There was a time where people started speculating that companies were using leaks for marketing. They would intentionally send posters and stuff hoping that it would get leaked. I think they did that with the one Call of Duty. I think they did it with the one Destiny. They did it with Rise of Iron. I feel like Bungie invented the send a bunch of promotional material to GameStop and be like, oops, it leaked. Oh no. And then they get all this natural virality. They could absolutely disallow key redemption. No way the game fits on a disc. So you'd have to download, just delay the download until the same window as digital release. Unless, of course, all you need is the disc to data scrape it somehow, Paris. Story elements and stuff like that. I don't know. Voice lines. Could you potentially data scrape the disc and get information off of it and then have story elements, voice lines, and things like that you could leak to the public? I just don't know. I don't know how it works. Paul says yes. Yeah, I think that they know full well. They know full well what happens if this thing gets into the hands of the public too early. Data mining, data scraping. Yeah, like that's what I mean. Like, couldn't they basically data mine the disk somehow? Companies absolutely use leaks for marketing. Oh, for sure. Chapter titles, character names. If they're stupid about it, yes, but it's entirely possible to just put a key on the game and nothing else. A VIP from Friend of Ninjas. Thank you so much. Let me add it to the total. SSD only, no doubt. There's also the issue with... I think there's the issue with... people don't like to just get a key. There's a bit of a stigma about that. So I think you end up facing that as a potential frustration point. What's that tweet, Fuzzy? What's the relevancy of this tweet, do you think? Fable says... Heroes of Albion, we shared the first deep dive into Fable coming out in 2026. What are you looking forward to the most? Let us know in the comments. Miss the Developer Direct, catch up here. What's the... is there something that you're seeing on the tweet or something, Fuzzy? Or did you just sharing it to share it? I wasn't sure if there was something that you saw. Oh, shoot. I just closed my browser. Dadgummit. Can I reopen the tab? I don't know if I can reopen the tab. I closed it. What you doing, Mama? I'm not cute. I'm frustrated. Show as a tab. Here, I might be able to do it. Reopen closed tab window. I got it. I did it.
Maybe you can put a video on how to open a closed tab.
Are you just coming in to make fun? What are you doing? Why are you in a coat? What are you doing outside? Oh, okay. Under history, recent tabs. Everything else was like a chat window, so it wasn't like a traditional. My actual like browser was gone. So, yeah. You're now eligible to get Invisible Woman spray for Marvel Rivals. Oh, there you go. There's a drop apparently on this thing that we're running. You get a disc with just a few loading screens and cinematics on it, but no game content. The game copies itself to the hard drive, then patches with download updates. Listen. I don't know what the Paris. I don't know enough to commentate. All I know is Rockstar is just got their jaw locked around this. They don't want anything out, so it makes sense that they're like, why even have the risk? We don't want to do think about this. We don't want to do a bunch of physical ships of a key. We don't want to spend all the money on the freight, especially right now. We don't want to spend all the money on the freight to ship a bunch of jewel cases and physical boxes and stuff so that people can get a key. We're Rockstar after all. This is GTA 6 after all. We don't need to do any of that. That's probably their attitude. PS5 games are typically fully playable off the disc on the install. Right. Instead of demand of the users of the platform. It's demand of the user of the platform. It's a demand of the users of the platform. I'm not sure what you're saying. Again, they're Rockstar. That's probably their attitude about it. They're probably like, yeah, we don't need to do all that. We don't need to do any of that. People are going to download the game and buy the game like crazy. We don't need to spend a minute messing around with, shipping boxes and boxes and freight this and jewel case that so people can get a key. They're going to get that. They can get that digitally right now. If they can get it digitally right now, then what purpose does it serve? Any distribution costs? Are distribution costs expensive right now? I think freight, yeah. Freight's expensive. Shipping anything's expensive. In general, yes, that's happening right now. It's expensive to do anything. So, I would say, if they're looking at the cost of doing all that, to send people, GTA 6 keys and codes, they're probably like, why would we do that? Why would we mess around with that when we can just get people to buy the game digitally? That'd be my take. That's probably how they're looking at it. Minimize risk of leaks, minimize cost on launch, and you're going to get people to download the game anyway. It's not like another game where, there will certainly be regions of the world that aren't happy about that because, if you don't have the fastest internet, that's going to be like a massive, massive blow. You're going to be like, well, I guess I'm going to have to wait. I guess I'm going to have to download the game super slow over the course of 2 days. So we'll see. Like I said, on the believability scale, I totally believe it, given Rockstar's attitude about leaks and, given how much the game's probably going to sell regardless. I haven't bought a disc since Destiny 1. People need physical. We'll wait for physical. It's GTA. Yeah, they're probably thinking about that. They're like, we're going to get physical sales later anyway. Here's another way to think about it. There are people that'll buy a digital, and then they'll buy it again physical just to have the dadgum jewel case. They're not going to want to miss out day one, and they're going to want that jewel case. They're not going to want that thing, to be, just digital only. We know Rockstar loves to sell multiple copies of games. We know this. I think they will have physical copies. It'll just be after launch. Sure. And they know that a lot of people will end up buying it more than once. It's more like 85%. There's a percentage there where they recommend patching, but it's not required to play. Almost 85% of PS5 games are playable off the disc on install. This would be an interesting one for that to take place. So, would not surprise me if this is part of the overall strategy to get the multiple sales angle, because they know that works, and they also can avoid spoilers. They can also keep costs down at launch. They probably won't have to ship. They won't have to ship as many physical units if it's a staggered physical release. So they could probably save there too. The actual shipping and freight costs will probably be lower. Yo, good morning, Feed. Good to see you in the chat. Hope you're well. We do need to start going through these other news stories. I want to make sure that they're in the show and time-stamped. We need to make sure they're in the show and that they are time-stamped. So, I need to make sure everything I said in the show open, I want to make sure has a timestamp, because I know people will watch that show open and then they'll look to the description for a timestamp, and I don't want them to feel like they didn't get their all the stories. Okay. All right, so the first one we're going to look at here is that PlayStation will reportedly host another State of Play in February. I actually don't think this is all that shocking or surprising. I think this kind of follows a pattern. Nate the Hate, an insider with a track record of accurately reporting on unannounced games and presentations, confirmed to a user that a State of Play was on the way. Somebody said, is there a State of Play in February? He says, there will be, yes. Okay. I also believe that Grub has spoken to this. I saw articles claiming that Grub had said that it would be happening the week of the 12th. Now, I don't know if Grub has come out and said that, yes or no, that is true. I think sometimes people say that he says things, then he comes back around and he's like, yeah, I didn't say that. So there is the distinct possibility he was misquoted. But I did see articles claiming that Grubb said it would be taking place the week of February the 12th. Now, that would line up with another story that we're going to look at in just a second. But I actually think this is pretty solid. Nate doesn't really miss. And I think Grubb also spoke to there being a State of Play in February. The other thing to consider here is what's going to be included. Now, based off of PlayStation's posture and their behavior in the market recently with regard to Marathon, I do think Marathon would be included. They would do another promotion. They would make sure people know it's coming, push pre-order bonuses and what have you. I also think Saros would get a pretty good showing, given that if it's in February, you're looking at, March being Marathon, and then you're looking at April being the launch for Saros. So that would be my estimation. With those would be probably front and center. I don't think Wolvie would get much of a showing. I think they're probably going to save a pretty significant Wolverine gameplay showcase for the summer, kind of similarly to how they did Spider-Man 2. That again would be my guess. So I think this will be a pretty normal occurrence for PlayStation. Xbox does their developer direct in January, and then PlayStation does a State of Play in February. And that would be kind of my guess, is it'll largely focus on both Marathon and Saros. And maybe mention Phantom Blade Zero. I don't know, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, Phantom Blade Zero release date. I forget. We got a release date for Phantom Blade Zero, which is September the 9th. It's possible they save Phantom Blade Zero as well. It's possible they save it for the summer since it's got a September drop. I mean, that's entirely possible. They decide to hold on to that and Wolverine. And they're think about it like this. They've got Marathon Saros for the first half of the year, and then the second half of the year, they have Phantom Blade Zero and Wolverine. So that certainly could be a pattern that emerges from their events. They could decide to do it that way. So, yeah. Would you say Sony has normalized after the turmoil from being from the beginning of this gen? The turmoil. Oh yeah, Tokone, Marvel Tokone Fighting Souls. Do we have a date for that yet? Marvel Tokone release date. Yeah, still no release date. So maybe Marvel Tokone shows up with a release date. That's a I'll say that's a possibility. So yeah. Outside of that, I don't know. But given this other thing that we heard, I think we're probably looking at a pretty steady cadence of things starting to pick up. I think things are going to start to pick up, and it's related to this other thing that we heard. Apparently, there's also a Nintendo Direct right around the corner. The first full Nintendo Direct of the year could be coming next week. So this would not be the week of February the 12th. This would be the week of February 2nd through the 6th. In his latest video on Monday, known insider Nate the Hate spoke with Nintendo fans. And so he says, from what I've been told, the first Direct of 2026 will be held during the opening week of February. He said that the expectations is that the show will take place on Thursday, February the 5th. So I don't know if Nintendo and PlayStation trade notes here, but it wouldn't surprise me at all if they're aware of what the other is doing, if this is how it's going to line up. We get a Nintendo Direct and then a week later you get a PlayStation State of Play. I would love it if every year kind of started like this. You get the Dev Direct from Xbox in January, then you get a Direct, then you get, then you get the State of Play. So I don't know what they're going to show. He says, while I hope it'll be a general Direct so Nintendo can really start the year strong momentum, begin to detail the brand new first-party games coming out in 2026, let us know what they've got planned for The Legend of Zelda 40th anniversary. It could just as easily be a partner showcase. Now, the reason it could be a partner showcase is there's other rumors coming out about a lot of like Square Enix titles and other titles, like third-party titles, coming to the Nintendo Switch 2. I believe Wheezy put that in the Discord about there are a lot of third-party titles right now slated for the Switch 2. So this could very easily be a Nintendo Direct that sets its sights on that. That's going to be the goal, is to let people know, hey, there's some big third-party things coming. I would prefer it to be a bunch of first-party stuff, especially like with the Zelda anniversary and stuff like that. I think we're all kind of hoping for some type of mainline Zelda. What did I push back on? You didn't push back on anything. You put something in the Discord about a bunch of third-party games slated for the Switch 2, and there's an allegedly a Nintendo Direct next week, and I'm obviously hoping it's like a big first-party thing, and they like announce some pretty big things for the year, and maybe a mainline Zelda or something. But it very easily could just be all about the third-party games coming. It could be a huge partner focus to really set that tone and that trajectory to be like, hey, it's going to be a good year to have a Switch 2 because they've got a bunch of big third-party games, coming to the Switch 2. I think that's like a normal thing. With these partner directs and the State of Play directs is to sometimes have like one that really, really focuses on like non-first party. I think that's pretty normal. So we'll see. We will see if they decide to do it that way. Make sure, by the way, guys, if you're watching the stream right now, that you hit that like button. Try to get us to 300 likes. We're super, super close. I've got a couple more things to look at that I promised in the show open. And one of them is Arc Raiders has launched a new matchmaking option, solos versus squads. It actually lets you sign up to lose 1v3 fights. I don't know about signing up to lose. Like, you could certainly win if you're good, in exchange for bonus XP. This is very interesting that they're doing this. Arc Raiders developer Mbox Studios has revealed that the Big Headwinds update coming to the game Tuesday, January 27th, and the leading act is a new matchmaking option exclusive to the level 40 plus characters called Solo versus Squads. It's exactly what it sounds like. High-level solo raiders can choose to jump into lobbies full of 3-player teams if they are simply that desperate to die. The point of the new mode is to add a higher stakes encounters to Arc Raiders. Embark says it's in a press release they want experienced solo players to opt in to solo queue for a little spice, and in return they'll get bonus XP regardless of the outcome. Regardless of the outcome. This could obviously turn into people just like solo farming, like going in just to get XP, like do a bunch of quick things and then get out because of the XP boost. Like, they might not actually be, trying to fight. Like, they might not actually try to win. Like, I could see streamers doing this. I remember back in the day before the spray meta took over in Fortnite, doing a solo squad run in Fortnite was actually really, really fun. You could really go in, and if you got a good kit, knew what you were doing, you could take out an entire squad. Like, I got to the point where I could do that pretty regularly. But they added spray meta, and it became freaking impossible. Like, your builds would just get demolished so quickly. So it was impossible to outbuild a 3v1. They say here, the last stipulation, regardless of outcome, feels pretty telling. It may as well read, when you inevitably die because you have one gun, they have 3, and last I checked, 3 is more than 1. Make no mistake, solo players are by design fated to lose in this mode. The odds are massively, demonstrably stacked against you, and I'm personally struggling to see the payoff. Yeah, the worry would be is that the payoff becomes manipulated. Like, go in, find the fastest way to get some XP, and then you literally bounce. Like, it quite literally could be the strategy that people implement. Like, this could end up being something that's more harmful than good to XP earn rates and the player funnel, because people could just manipulate it. Which, is certainly a possibility. All right. last but certainly not least, I want to make sure every single piece of news gets covered that I said would get covered. And this is a brand new video from Bungie for Marathon. Let's take a look. I mean, I'm gonna be honest, like, they're really, really good at this part. Like, they're really, really good at this part. Because that was dope. But it also seems to me like really, really focused on looking like a hero. It has that, like, it has like a Destiny Guardian vibe. You know what I mean? It has like a big time Destiny Guardian vibe. Like, I don't know. It looks so cool. It makes me wish. Yo, Paco, thank you for 45 months in a VIP, getting us to 182. Let us see if we can get all the way to 200 to be on pace for the week. We definitely appreciate all the support on Sunday to get us a head start. We appreciate you guys so much for helping with that. The visual trickery with Bungie is strong. The vibe's on point, but I'm still not playing it. They're just so good at vibe. They totally are. I mean, they really are. They nail the vibe. They create, like, that looks like a character that I would love to play in, but I kind of like want it to be like a character in like a Destiny-like game. Like, I don't want to play a PvP extraction shooter with a character like that. I want to play I want to play a game like Destiny. You know, it was a Titan. Yeah, it very much had the vibe of a Titan, of a, you know, of a brute that can put up a shield and be the frontline man. You know, I don't know. I totally get why some people are pretty disappointed in in their choice to go the route that they've gone. I totally get it. Devs are just making more PvP games now because they are easier. You don't need to make smart AI that interact with intricate objectives, and players can just throw a bunch of players in a lobby. I don't know if they're doing it because it's easier. I think some of it's because they genuinely want to build the games. I think that's obviously in the mix. I also think it's because they know if they can get a lot of people, they can make a lot of money. You know? Sponge Ross with the $2 super chat. What do you think of the PlayStation Portal Pro OLED rumor? I have it on very good authority that a better version of the PlayStation Portal is coming. It's from somebody that I trust. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's the big hardware push or big hardware announcement this year from PlayStation. I believe there's a handheld PlayStation coming. I don't think it's going to be a handheld PS6. But I believe there is a handheld PlayStation coming. I don't think it's this year. I think this year they'll push the PlayStation Portal Pro, which will have an OLED and potentially have like a better, like you'll be able to install like Netflix on it or something. And then I think next year you'll get the actual handheld in 2027 from PlayStation. And then the year after that, I could see them launching the PlayStation 6. That's kind of how I see it going. I think next year's too early for PlayStation 6. I think this year is too early for the actual handheld based on everything we've seen. So I think the actual handhelds next year, and this year is a better version of the Portal. Yeah. I don't have much to go on other than what we've heard, what I've been told, and what we've seen leaked and discussed. So I'm sort of making an educated guess as to where it all lands. So, yeah. Yo, Perfect Image. This is an awesome 26 months being part of the community to talk about games. I like how Forge our lives and debate profoundly. Keep it up. Thank you so much, Perfect Image. Let me add you to the total. Guys, check your renewals and check your primes. We're 17 away from 200. Whoever hits that goal, or that milestone, I should say, gets the gifted. And I think so far YouTube won that already on the day. So thank you so much, everybody that's been taking part. And thank you, Perfect Image, for renewing. So Sony will not delay the PlayStation 6. I mean, I don't know about a delay. I don't think 2027 was ever a locked-in date. I think production was starting in 2027. There was the hope and goal to maybe ship it and sell it in the late 2027. I think a lot of things shifted around on them that moved it. I think RAM pricing's all over the place, so that's probably playing a role for sure. I also think that beyond RAM pricing, I think you're also dealing with GTA 6. I think that GTA 6 is going to be an extremely easy way for them to get people to finally buy a PlayStation 5. Like, there's tons of people right now that just haven't left the PS4. I don't know, 40 million something people probably that are just sitting on a PS4. Okay? And I think a really great way to get those people off of the PS4 is to have a game like GTA 6 where they don't have a choice. There's also Call of Duty. We haven't had an annual Call of Duty. We have not had a Call of Duty push anybody off of the PS4. Okay? So, I would say GTA 6 landing so late this year is a perfectly good reason for PlayStation to be like, yeah, we don't need to push out the PlayStation 6. We don't need to do that. All next year, I want you to think about what 2027 is going to look like. You can have an entire year where all PlayStation's got to do is do some tweets and some updates to be like, hey, don't forget, GTA 6 is out and we have bundles. Yo, Ain't Got No Games using their Prime over there on Purple. Thank you so much. The contest between the platforms, 23-10. Thank you so much. YouTube leading the charge. Highguard being free is still too expensive. All right, come on. We don't need to be unkind, all right? Come on now. We don't need to be unkind. GTA 6 isn't getting me off the PS4. Price will. I'm not sure what you mean. I'm talking about the general public. Like, if you're going to dig your heels in and wait for a sale, or have particular reasons why you've decided that you're not ready to jump to PS5 yet, I think that's totally fine. What I'm talking about is the idea that your ability to play the latest, biggest game, if you're on the PS4, there are a ton of people that are going to feel like, I can't play the latest, greatest game, so it's time that I finally do this. It's time that I finally buy a PS5. GTA 6 is going to be tectonic in that regard. It'll be seismic. It'll cause ripples within the community of like what gamers are doing and spending their money on. Good job on your Highguard prediction. I also saw that Jeff was asked if he helped pay for the game. I don't think that was a question that was out of line, by the way. I know people were giving Detective Seeds a lot of grief. I thought that was a completely legitimate question to be like, hey, you're promoting the game an awful lot. Are you at all tied to this game? Did you help invest in it? Are you a backer? Are you part of their board? Anything like that. I thought it was a completely fair question to ask. And Jeff was good to say, no, he's not. I think it, again, to Jeff's credit, and I think this speaks to his character, he saw a game that he thought was dope. He saw developers that he thought were dope, and he said, hey guys, check this thing out. We kind of debated earlier this morning whether or not he should say anything to the public about how he clearly was wrong. I'm not asking for an apology. I don't feel like I'm owed anything. I say this as somebody who likes Jeff. I think he wins an awful lot of goodwill and really, really helps out some optics here if he says, listen, guys, I still think it's a great game. I think they're a great studio. If the public doesn't agree, that's just where the chips fell on this one. Like, I think he needs to admit, because he didn't just put it in his event. He didn't just say, hey, here's a trailer. He said the game was going to be huge. He was promoting the game actively on Twitter. He told people that in 48 hours he was going to accept their apologies. I think when you posture that strong about something, I think you gain a lot from people. By saying, hey man, I still believe this is a good game and this is a good studio. The public doesn't seem to agree with me, and that's just the way it goes sometimes. You know, some sort of a statement where he doesn't throw them under the bus or throw the game under the bus, but he has to admit that it's being rejected. So that would be my thought. This was a fair review in my opinion. I agree with most of the points of it. What's this one say? This guy says here, he says, all in all, I had a pretty fun time playing Highguard. The same issues brought up during playtests were definitely brought up. Looting takes too much time. Mining is boring, pretty boring. It could be handled in a more seamless way. Fights take too long to develop. Duos felt a little imbalanced in my opinion. Still a little hasty about that. Early reinforcing could be cut out and let people do it later. Shotguns are superior. I'll stand by that, and they need a nerf. I'd like to be able to put my gun away. Just my opinion, not really needed, but it would be would feel more natural. There are a little too many objectives, and they could be toned down just a bit. Positives: playing as a trio felt fun and balanced. Fights felt one-sided at first, then bam, they evened out. Audio was so good. I think Ninja was praising the audio as well. It was complimented during the playtest, and I'll continue to say if there are any issues. Hang on. Somebody here say I don't want to read the rest of this. Somebody here is, it's just too long. It sounds like he's, credit where credit's due. You've done your extensive research. You're being pretty diplomatic. It doesn't really matter because the game's cooked. Aftermath says Highguard is yet another symptom and victim of a rapidly decaying internet. Luke Stevens replies and says, bro, the game just didn't look that good in the reveal and didn't end up being very good at launch. It's not that deep. Yeah, I tend to agree. It's not that deep. You brought something to market that people on the surface said they didn't want, and now, you know, after they've got a look at it beneath the surface, they're like, yeah, we were right, we don't want this. You know, I appreciate people taking the time to like go the distance and talk about the good and the bad. It just doesn't matter. I just don't care. And I'm not being dismissive. I just genuinely don't care if people are having a good time and the good things they have to say about it, because it's like the people that did that with Concord. I just didn't care. I was like, yeah, fine. You're like, well, the shooting and this and that. It's like, who cares? It's a dead game. Like, I feel like this game's headed for the same fate. You're enjoying a good game. You're enjoying a game that you think has got good stuff in it, and it's a game that's literally just falling beneath the ocean as we speak. I thought one of the discussion topics today was Highguard, but I hear you. No, I'm not telling you to move on. I'm explaining why I didn't want to read the rest of that. Like, I'm not reading a book about Highguard. It's like, it just doesn't... What feels like worthy of discussion is what happens now, not what does somebody who likes it. And I'll be honest, my concern too is anybody putting that amount of time and commentary, it's like, is that somebody that went to the event? Does they have a vested interest in trying to kind of make this more diplomatic and like, hey, there's still some good here? I just don't know. It to me doesn't seem like what's worth talking about right now, is not what's good or bad. It's what happens now. Because I don't think you can put this thing back together again. I don't think you can put Humpty Dumpty back together in. I feel like we're looking at Humpty Dumpty, and you're like, yeah, but this one piece is not that bad. And it's like, it doesn't really matter. It's cracked, and it's broken on the ground. You can't put this back together. What do you do now with the studio? What do you do with your people? What do you do with all that planned content? What do you do with your marketing? You know, I think that's a more worthy discussion than any merits that the game might have. I stumbled upon this, and it has piqued my interest greatly, shaping up like a Skyrim voxel-style game. Shores of Vale Thar. Any third person? I can't play games like this, man. It looks so cool, though. If you guys like the first person vibe of like Skyrim, you can wishlist this one on Steam. Yeah, very cool vibe, very cool style. I can't do action RPG, dark fantasy, dungeon crawler. I would just, anytime I look at this, I'm like, oh man, give me that third person, dude. That was really cool. They're a good studio, but calling the game great is a slap in the face to consumers. It's bland, and it feels like time spent in skins and balancing and playtesting. I mean, I don't have much to say on that. I mean, the team that worked on the skins and the cosmetics, they're not out here actively taking away from the rest of the game, if that makes sense. Do you understand what I'm saying? All right, I do need to do a quick... on your channel, please try again later. Okay, never mind. I can't do it just yet. Okay, I'll do it when I get back. I'm going to take a brief break, and then I got an ad read that we got to do on Twitch. I appreciate you guys supporting those ad reads. Actually, I'm going to wait and do it before I take the break. Given it's been holding 16,000 players for today, I think it's got a good chance for survival. No. It's not the number of players, it's how quick everybody stopped playing, brother. So. Okay, it's taking a second for the other ad to come off. Yeah, it's not. It's literally not about like, oh, but they've got people playing right now. It's like they went from 97,000 to that number. Like it was like they speed run. They did a speed run of Exodus. It's like, to me again, I feel like Humpty Dumpty's on the ground. It's like you are not putting this back together again. You missed your shot. You are not going to garner enough players for this to, and they're all like, well, we don't need a large player base to survive. You don't, but you need a healthy player base to survive. You know what I mean? You need a healthy player base to survive. You need enough people logging in and playing on a regular basis in order for it to work. If you can't do that, there's nothing for it, boys. If you got that many people logging in right now and playing, and that many people basically saying I'm done, I'm uninstalling, and the review score is sitting where it is, it's pretty much over. It's like people can clutch pearls and act like this is some kind of a tragedy and like, oh, it's so bad and people are so mean, but it's like this is the ruthless gamut and gauntlet that you run when you launch a live service game. What about as a healthy player base? I don't have a number, but when you see that many people stop playing in the first day, apparently you're not going to have enough people coming back. I feel like this is just so easily observable. I saw people streaming it. I didn't try it out myself. It seems like it was a good concept, but I didn't really enjoy what I saw. I mean, homie, they were at 97,000, and every hour after that peak, they lost 10,000, 10,000, 20,000. I mean, just nobody was playing for very long at all. Every hour, thousands of people were stopping. There was no consumer inertia, no velocity, no momentum, nothing. It was basically a free fall. Okay, here we go. Okay. Marvel Rivals is doing some sponsored segments on Twitch, and that's what this is. Season 6 launched 10 days ago on the 16th. Deadpool joined Marvel Rivals on the 16th. You guys know that I love Deadpool. Free to play, okay? The game keeps leveling up the nonstop updates. So they got new hero, new team-ups, new costumes. Don't miss the new content dropping on January 16th. So it's already in the game right now. So if you need a reason to go back to Marvel Rivals, speaking of live service games, and this is obviously a sponsored segment by Marvel Rivals, so you guys can play it right now. It's free to play. Deadpool's in there. Thoughts on Deadpool? Has anybody played with Deadpool and checked him out? We can obviously pull up a trailer. There's plenty of trailers out there of him. Marvel Rivals Deadpool trailer. Here's the 1.5-minute one. There's also a day in. Let's see where those 16,000 players end up in a couple of weeks. Correct. Marvel Rivals is a perfect topic here. They have been incredibly successful, and even they had players, the player numbers started to drop, and they still have tons of people playing. So if that's true for a game that's as successful as Marvel Rivals, that's going to be true for any other game as well. So when you have such a low number, you're in bad shape. Deadpool is good, but he has a steep learning curve. Okay, well, I would imagine people that like hero shooters like this would enjoy having a bit of a steep learning curve for a character, a new character especially. Fuzzy is saying that Deadpool's OP right now for Vanguard and for Strategist. Well, there you go. If you're wanting a strong character, perfect reason to go back to Marvel Rivals right now is to check out Deadpool. People in Discord were singing the praises of the game. Yeah, we'll talk about that game in just a second. The game we've been talking about all day in regards to like people's feedback and stuff. You can play all 3 roles. It's kind of wild. Do you guys feel like they're going to do other characters like this that can do lots of roles, or is that just something that like the merc with the mouth gets the permission to do, right? He's Deadpool after all. I play him on healer. He's already getting banned. He's kind of broken. Well, that's a perfectly good reason to check him out, guys. That is a perfectly good reason to check out Deadpool in Marvel Rivals right now. He according to people in the game is broken. And so Marvel Rivals, let's see here, Season 6 end date. So Season 6 just started. It's scheduled. It's titled Night at the Museum. It looks like it's scheduled to end late March. So if you're wanting to get in and grind, you have until the end of March to do that. Here is the rundown page on the Marvel Rivals website. It looks like Elsa Bloodstone. Has she been added to the game just yet, or are they waiting on her? It looks like maybe she's not in the game yet. Looks like there's going to be new events like Whack a Jeff, where players can earn Jeff 8-bit bash skin along with other rewards. The event will go live at the start of the season. There's also new skins. Spider-Man and Venom got Cosmic Invasion skins. Those are coming, I'm sorry. Luna Snow and Thor. Disco Revolution. Angela and Emma Frost. Trumps of the Grandmaster. Groot Mecha Flora. Magneto Quiet Council. There's hints and teasers for you guys as well in their various trailers and their various things. So thank you again to Marvel Rivals. We appreciate those sponsorships that they do. You're late. I mean, they push these things out to be promoted even after they've launched because some people might not know. Okay, she's mid-season. Okay. Are you about to play? No, it's just like a 5-minute ad read. Deadpool edited his coding in the game to be all 3. He's also the only character who has upgrades. So they literally put him in the game like lore accurate, comic book accurate. No, whack a Jeff. No. I didn't say that. I didn't say that, Big Pack fan. So yeah. I was like, what game are you talking about? I think maybe blending roles to down the road, like tank or heals at the same time, could be interesting. Yeah, I think a game like Marvel Rivals has always got to kind of consider that. You know, how do you keep the meta fresh? How do you keep people coming back? How do you keep people's interest? New characters is certainly a way to do that. New characters is certainly a way to keep people coming back. So there we go. We appreciate you guys so much. I'm gonna put us back in. Let's go back to just chatting. There we go. Appreciate you guys so much. Okay. All right. Now I can take a quick break. I'm going to take a quick break. We can keep talking and chatting. And you guys have been so great and so supportive. And if there's anything else going on, let us know. I'll be right back. I moved the chair over here because of all the static. Oh, okay. Alleged Black Flag figurine surfaces online. This is like the worst kept secret ever. Why won't they just announce it? Oh, yeah. I'm not even going to show this. I'm not even going to show this. That's the kind of thing that can get hit with a copyright. That is definitely a Black Flag figurine. Yo, it's good, Jonathan. What's good, everybody? I feel like we basically... I don't think there's anything left to cover, to talk about, to showcase, to react to, unless you guys saw something. Do you guys have like a question that you want to submit or anything like that? We know about Black Flag for years at this point. They need the stock to plummet a bit more. Yeah, I don't know if and when they're ever going to give us that official announcement, man. I just don't know. It's like, are they waiting to maybe they're going to start doing events again in the summer. Maybe, I don't know, what the UB4, whatever it's called. Coke Carnage says, Emberville is here. Our newest trailer has tons of new stuff. Check it out on wishlist if you're interested in. So, is this a game that Co is like supporting? Like, is he paying for? Like, is he part of the like publishing effort, basically? We can take a look at this.
You again. By order of Mordaxius, the true master of the Acolytes, your life must remain vanquished. Don't resist. It'll be quicker that way.
Oh, dang.
All these empty houses with nothing but sorrow and shadows in them. I see you're confused. Ignore the clouding in your mind. The villagers need your help, and the Vitrometus is no place for weaklings. It will be a difficult task, but together, you will rebuild this town. Find a safe place and hone your skills to prepare for the challenges ahead. And there will be many.
This looks really good, y'all.
Eternal prison knows no bounds.
Emberville.
There's no way out of this prison, Wanderer. Nor from the unceasing grip of death.
So this summer, wishlist now on Steam. I mean, I would say voice acting and writing was on point, production, quality, everything. I mean, I would wishlist that right now, you know, if I were you. That looks solid. Is that what you, when you had long hair? Where? In the game? Oh, yeah, that was totally me. Emberville is Co Carnage's game. I've been waiting on it. It actually looks really good. It's his game. What's the next game you're excited about? I'm the most excited about Saros. Yeah, there's not much coming out right now. I need to finish Memories in Orbit so that I can move to another backlog game. I played through Mario Galaxy 1, Mario Galaxy 2 with Madam. I played High on Life. I played Control and all the DLC. I'm kind of moving through different games that I feel like, you know, are going to be relevant this year. Like High on Life 2 is coming out. And then Control Resonance coming out at some point this year. They seemingly shot down the rumor that their game Control Resonant was coming out Q2. So yeah. Isn't there a demo? There's a Neo demo you can play right now, isn't there? I feel like there was a Neo demo launching today. I don't know if I'm going to be able to hang with Neo. I feel like that game's gonna spit me out. It's probably going to be too fast and too hard for me. I'm an old man. A limited time demo drops on the 29th, so in 2 days. You can also play Code Vein 2 early today if you do like one of the bigger pre-orders or whatever. I watched more gameplay of Code Vein 2, and I was like, I don't think I'm going to like this. So yeah, Control Ultimate Edition is still on sale on Steam, y'all, for like $4. If you have not played Control Ultimate Edition, what's it like on PlayStation? It's currently $40 on PlayStation for the Ultimate Edition. That's a really, really great price if you're a console player, if you play on PlayStation. But $4 on Steam is ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, it looks like it's $40 on Xbox as well. Yeah. Oh, it's in Game Pass. It's in Game Pass Essential. Homies, if you have any... Isn't Game Pass Essential like the lowest tier? That's the lowest tier. Brothers, if you have any tier of Game Pass, you can play the Control Ultimate Edition on Xbox. You need to do that. I think it's on PS Plus as well. I don't think I had to buy it. I think I did though, because I wanted to like not have it like removed one day or something. New update in NVIDIA driver clears up on Highguard. Oh, does it really? We will see. Don't pay on console and it's $40 when it goes on sale. It's super cheap. I'm happy to pay $40 for a game like that, man. It's just such a solid game. So, all right, let's do the timer thing that we've done before. For Green Room, if you guys want to extend the stream, I'll let you do that. But if not, we'll go to Green Room in about 15 minutes. You guys know the drill. Every 5 adds 2. We're trying to get it to 200 before the end of the day. It's like a mini subathon. You guys have extended the stream a ridiculous amount in the past. I'll give you 14 minutes to do that. If not, no problem. We'll go to Green Room. We'll chill. We'll figure out what we're doing for the next day. Figure out if there's any... figure out if there's any uploads or anything we want to do to push something out this evening. Let's see. I thought you were going to say Reanimal. When does Reanimal come out? That's basically Reanimal release date. That's basically Little Nightmares 3. Oh, that's next month on the 13th, February 13th. That's basically Little Nightmares 3, because Little Nightmares 3 is not Little Nightmares 3. It's like, it's not even worth playing. PC Gamer says, Highguard deserves a chance, so don't kill it out of spite. Review bombing isn't helping anyone. Homie, no, like, come on. Nobody's review bombing it. Everybody stopped playing. Like, when you go from 97,000 players and you drop that fast, come on, dude. Most of those reviews are legitimate. Come on. That's tens of thousands of people. Well, let's go look right now. Okay, listen. There are 16,000 reviews on the game right now. This thing got to 97,000 players, and within the day that it launched, it dropped all the way to 15,000 or whatever. Listen to me. That tells me that most of the reviews out of the 16,000, that's people that played it and said they didn't like it. They literally played it, concluded they didn't like it, and they left a review. Some reviews are under 10 minute reviews. Those are completely legitimate reviews for a game like this. I'm sorry. If you play a game like, Baldur's Gate 3 for 10 minutes and give it a negative review, that's not communicating anything. There's way too much of that game for 10 minutes to be enough for you to come to a conclusion. But a game like that, 10 minutes, that's enough for a match. And it's like, yeah, this game sucks. I'm out. I'm sorry. That's the nature of the beast with live service. You made a game where you said matches can last anywhere from 8 minutes to 30 minutes. So people are going to make an assessment on your game rather quickly. They're not going to sit around and give you unlimited time. They should be removing reviews with less than an hour. I don't agree at all. I think that's ridiculous. You're going to silence people because they didn't play long enough. It's a free-to-play live service game where within 20 to 30 minutes you could play 2 matches and be like, yeah, I think this game sucks. Your review is just as legitimate as the guy that plays for 2 hours. It's a free-to-play game. The user reviews are worthless. I don't agree with that at all. I don't agree. If it's a free-to-play game, then it has to suffer those 10-minute reviews. Yeah, I just don't agree. I don't think we should be going out here and removing people's reviews on a game like that. If it's a super substantive game that... This is obviously the beauty of a one where there's like the refunds don't count, right? Like if somebody asks for a refund, their review doesn't count. So somebody plays for 35 minutes, asks for a refund, and you're like, yeah, their review shouldn't count. I'm like, yeah, okay, I think that's fair. They're no longer a customer who owns the product, and especially games that are that big, like Baldur's Gate 3. And even I remember with Starfield, people were dismissing reviews that were, 50 hours, but they were also dismissing reviews that were, 3 hours. You didn't play long enough, or you played that long. How could you possibly say that you didn't like it, right? I don't like the idea of removing or not counting a review of a free-to-play game simply because they didn't play long enough. If you've played a couple of matches of a game, that's enough for you to say, yeah, I think this game sucks and I'm out. I think that's helpful information. Let me ask you the question. What are you supposed to do with a game, Eugene, that is in such an abhorrent state that everybody is uninstalling and barely getting past 45 minutes because it's a piece of garbage? Should their reviews not count? You don't want the public to know that a game is terrible and awful and in an awful state. A game is just terrible. It's buggy, it's glitchy, it doesn't run well, and people are 30 minutes in, 20 minutes in, they're like, yeah, I'm out. This game sucks, and they give it a bad review. You're like, yeah, those shouldn't count. What do you do with a game in that state? This game is in a terrible state. It's got optimization issues, performance issues. People don't like it. They're bailing quickly. 10 minutes isn't enough time for the tutorial. If a user took the time to download their game, boot it up, their review should count. Some of those reviews are also performance optimization based. Do they need to stutter for 2 hours? Precisely. If you're stuttering, glitching, hitching, and having issues during the tutorial, you're just supposed to suffer through that and not let people know? No, yeah, you got to keep going, man. If you want your review to count, just keep going. Deal with that stutter and that screen tear. Yeah, just keep on going. This is ridiculous. This is a ridiculous thing to think. I get what you're trying to fight against. You're trying to fight against the person that downloads a free-to-play game. They play for 60 seconds. They're like, it's woke, it's trash, it sucks, it's whatever. And they're review bombing out of pure spite. Okay? But there are extremes, and I think this is one of those times. There are extremes where the game is so bad, people are going to be bailing within the first hour. Those should be categorized differently than a review. You know what? I don't necessarily think I disagree with that. I definitely think there should be reviews that are like there should be a review on technological performance, and then there should be reviews on game, like, is the game any good? Because, right, like, sure, like Jedi Survivor, if somebody was able to, get it running well or get over, past bugs and glitches, they might be like, yeah, it's actually not that bad. But then the actual technical review of the game would have been terrible. My Jedi Survivor review is after 1 hour of trying to get it to work. I think my experience is pretty valuable. I completely agree with you. I'll grant you performance issues, but wasn't Elden Ring having hitching at the beginning section? It was like the only first section and the rest ran fine. Sometimes you got to give it some time. I definitely think performance issues in an open world game in the first opening section is not really that concerning. This is 100% valuable for other people, says Wheezy. Yeah, so this is a 1 hour review of Jedi Survivor that Wheezy wrote. This is one of the worst optimized games I've ever had the misfortune of playing. Seriously, this is an incredibly poor game, and it's not worth your time or money. I know there are a million other negative reviews, but I need to reiterate, save your money. Yeah, I think that's completely fine. That's completely fine. I think there should be exceptions made. Like, let's say it this way. Steam could alert you and say, hey, you're leaving a review after an unusually small amount of playtime. You've only played the game for an hour. You've only played the game for 10 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever. It should say, this is an unusually fast review. If it's for technical issues, we think that that's legitimate. If you're trying to say that this game is, like, not worth playing, yeah, maybe you should at least have to get to 30 minutes or something like that. But I think in a game like this, you can play a couple of matches so quickly. I don't know. I think it's valuable to show the playtime. Well, they show the playtime. So, like, you certainly could see a bunch of people saying, game sucks, game is trash. And if they've all played for 5 minutes, then you would be like, yeah, why would I trust you? But when you guys, if you go to Highguard right now on Steam, and we go to the reviews, I mean, 6 hours, 1 hour, 3.5 hours, 11 hours, 1 hour, 1 hour, 1 hour, 4, 7, 1.5. If I go to negative only, we have a 6, a 1, a 1.2, a 10, an 11. Okay, here's a 0.4. So this is a little under 30 hours, right? I'm sorry, a little under 30 minutes. 3.5 hours, 1 hour, 1 hour. Okay, right here. Secure boot and TPM 2.0 not detected. Yeah, there's a reason this one should count. Despite messing with my BIOS for 15 minutes, I can't get this to work. Yep, this one should totally count. 0.9, 1.6, 2.8, 1.5, 4.6, 0.7, 6.2, 2.6, 4.4, 0.9. Here's a 0.3. They have M&M cookies in 5 easy steps. What the frick ever. Accept Discord quest, play for 15, boot up game, collect orbs, games crashes. This is a legitimate review. It's for a game crash. That's a short one. So 1.713. You see, the overwhelming majority of these reviews are longer than an hour or at an hour. Here's a 0.3. It says poop from a butt. Is that Moist Critical? You got Charlie out here. Reporting a tech issue is not a review. Yeah, it is. If you can't play because it's crashing, if you can't play because it's glitchy and buggy, that 100% is a review. Yeah. If a bunch of people are buying a vacuum cleaner and the thing don't turn on, you can't be like, but that's not a review of how well it operates as a vacuum cleaner. That's a defect. Yeah, and people should know. I should be able to leave a review and say, the thing's freaking defective. The game doesn't run. The game crashes. The game's not running well. Yeah, people should be able to say that. That's a review. You're letting people know the quality of the product. I wouldn't mind if there were two different categories, like, man, this game is so great, but it's got a hitching issue. Man, this game is so great, but it's got this stuttering issue. Yes, it would be nice to have that nuance within the review score, but by and large, when somebody's saying it's crashing, I'm having glitches and bugs and stitches and hitches and da-da-da-da, that's 100% a review that people should know, oh man, this game's having all kinds of trouble. All right, if you guys want to extend, you got a minute and a half. You got a minute and a half, and we're going to go to Green Room. If you're not in the Discord already, if somebody has gifted you a membership or a sub, you get access to the Green Room, so make sure and get in there. How many of those issues are the user's fault? Law of large numbers, Eugene. What do you mean? If you got 16,000 people reviewing your game and that's where the score is landing, and a high proportion of the people are saying there's tech issues, the law of large numbers would say it's not rampant user error. If that was the case, then tons of games would have this problem and struggle when they come out on Steam. Like just widespread user error. Herder, I don't know how to set up settings in a game. Look at Highguard, for Pete's sakes. It's not the kind of game that would be going on. I'm not saying the game is good. I'm not saying that you're saying the game is good. I haven't once argued against you as if you're saying. What I'm saying is tech issues of this magnitude, we can't even presume there's a percentage of user error. We can't even presume that. There's too many. There's too many people that are having the problem. I'm saying free-to-play reviews are worthless, especially ones with almost no playtime. Your perspective is they're worthless. I'm saying they give me a very clear picture of where the game currently stands. A bunch of people paid no money, went into a game, barely touched it, barely played it. A lot of them played for an hour, maybe an hour and a half, and they are done. That speaks volumes, and I think is helpful to the consumer. That's my take. I think that's very, very helpful to the consumer. You know, it's got a 60% on PlayStation. I don't know how long the people playing it played, but here's what should really interest you. And then we got to go to Green Room. Here's what should really interest you. This is a PlayStation split. Yes, 60% or whatever. 40% giving it a 5-star. Roughly 40% giving it a 1-star. Yeah. Uh-huh. It has an 84% review at over 8 hours and over. How many of those people have played that long? What is it, like 2 reviews? So a 0.1 hours played negative review that reads, my wife just lesbian. I'm pretty sure it's because I installed Highguard should stay. That's a real review someone left. Listen, I think it's a legit review. You know? That's a legit review. Like that, you know, they're being silly. You know they're being silly. They think the game sucks. You know? Again, law of large numbers. You don't got to worry about the people who are being goofy and goofing around in the reviews. That doesn't matter. There's plenty of them that aren't doing that. For every one that's memeing and putting a chocolate chip cookie recipe, there's 10 others that are legitimate. Humor adds 45 minutes. That's right. All right, guys. Make sure that you guys use the Discord command. Use the Discord command if you want to come to the Discord. There's also a Discord link in the description below. Law of large numbers applies to Metacritic users' reviews then? No, that would be called a false equivalency because Metacritic user scores do not require purchase. Therefore, we have no idea if the people leaving the review have even played the game, bought the game, or installed the game. Therefore, it's a false equivalency and does not apply to this discussion. We dismiss those for a completely different reason. We do not dismiss Metacritic scores because of time played. We dismiss Metacritic scores because it could be anybody. It could be 1,000 basement dwellers who haven't spent a minute of time in the game. Therefore, there's no way to legitimize the scores. Therefore, they should be soundly rejected. They mean nothing. It's just a data point on a website that we have no idea where it came from. Free-to-play games don't require purchase. They require you to download and install the game, and then I can see how long you played it. Therefore, once again, completely eradicating your attempt to invoke Metacritic user scores. They are not an equivalency. If you think that that's an equivalency, oh my gosh, Eugene, I don't know what happened. I don't know if you fell down and bumped your head, but no, a free-to-play game on Steam is not equivalent to a Metacritic user score. Why? I just scrolled through and showed you. You can see how long they've played. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, bunches of difference of hours. They were only a handful. The vast minority were at like a 0.2 or a 0.3. Even the person who's only played for 10 to 30 minutes, they are not equivalent to a Metacritic user score, because a Metacritic user score is an unconfirmed download, unconfirmed purchase. We have no idea. That person could have never even installed, looked at the game, opened up the game, not once. They're not equivalent. They're not any more valuable to me. That's subjective to you as a consumer, and you're welcome to think that. I'm saying somebody playing for 20 or 30 minutes and letting me know how bad the game runs is infinitely more valuable than some dumb review bombing on Metacritic. They're not the equivalent at all. One person went in, played the game, and is reporting back to me what happened, and they didn't play a bunch, but at least I've got information from somebody who touched the game. Not somebody who's like, it's woke, it sucks, on Metacritic. How would I rate Highguard out of 10? I would rate it as not interested, not installing, not playing. So below a 0 for me. I don't even have any interest in touching it. That's how bad it looks. I'm not going to post a review or first impressions. I'm not going to. All right, we got to go to the Discord. You guys got a last-minute rant out of me. All right, make sure you guys hit that like button on the way out on YouTube. I appreciate you also so much. We had another great day, another fun time. I hope you guys had a fun time. If you can't come to the Discord, you can watch the latest upload on the channel. The latest upload is about Fable and all the red flags that are in it. If you've not checked that out, it's well worth your time. I'll put a link in chat on both platforms. Alex drops a 5 at the buzzer and bumps the line to 189. You guys are 11 away from me owing a member. Wait, he gifts another one. He rounds it out. He gets us 10 away from 200. What are you trying to do? You trying to bait somebody? You trying to bait somebody here at the buzzer, bro? I'm like spamming links in chat and you're out here gifting. He said maybe. You're ornery. Have you considered that you could rule the Highguard directory? I'm not doing that. I'm not going to perch on a directory like that and be negative. You know what I mean? That's rude. That's rude. All right. Alex set it up. I'm going to give you guys a stay of execution. I'll give you guys a couple minutes here. Long time. Yo, what's good, Tipsy? How are you? Homie, you've been following me for a long time. Yeah. We got back on the platform in April last year. Dan Clancy, he welcomed me back to the platform. He looked into it, reinstated the channel. What's good? That's awesome. Yeah, I stream on both platforms. Wherever you want to watch, it supports. We got ourselves back up to 500 sub points, and we're trying to get to the next milestone of 750 sub points. So any help with that? You guys have primes, gifts, any of that? I appreciate it. If not, you can just listen and lurk every day. That also helps and supports. How do I get to the Discord? There's a little command, ! Discord. All right, 60 seconds and we're out of here. Alex set it up. Whenever somebody does that at the buzzer, I don't want to bail. I think that's kind of rude. We're really close, so I was going to give you guys a couple seconds here. If not, we're going to go to the Discord. If you're a member or a sub, if you're a member on YouTube or a sub on Twitch, you can come to the Green Room. The Green Room is a segment where we plan the next day's content. It's a behind-the-scenes look at what we do here. We no longer do members' content on YouTube because it's terrible for the channel, and until YouTube fixes it, we just can't do it. So I am sorry to people that miss it, but you can still get Green Room in the Discord. I'm also giving you longer streams. So this live show is 4 hours long now instead of like 2.5 hours. So you get a longer show on the channel, and I hope that you appreciate that and don't feel like you're getting, you know, like the short end of the deal or something. I'm trying to give you guys more while we have to do this change. So I don't want anybody feeling like, oh my gosh, we get less content now. You actually get more content now. 4-hour live show compared to like 2.5 hours before. And if you appreciate that and you want to show support by hitting like, subscribe, that's appreciated. If you do memberships, that's also appreciated. All right, we're going to go ahead and go to the Discord. The link is in the chat. I'm going to paste the link one more time. So if you're not going to come to the Discord, give that YouTube video a watch, especially if you are interested in Fable. All right? All right, I'll see you guys over there.